Welcome to the Krueg Show. Larry Krueger, Dan Coccimilgio, Ryan Smith with you after Giants baseball. Man, the Giants have had a sleepy season, kind of a forgettable year, but man, that was fun tonight. 1-0. Alex Wood dealt. Incredible relay play that nabbed Drury in the seventh. And then Camilo Doval punching out Josh Bell with 103 at the end. And the Giants go to San Diego and they beat the Padres 1-0. And guys, a lot of people in the chat, people want to talk. We'll get into all of the angles tonight. But I'll tell you, this one, this is the kind of game the Giants have to win. Why? Because they can't beat you 8-0. They can't beat you 8-7. They can't beat you 7-6. But if they can keep the game low scoring, they got a shot. They can pitch. And, for the most part, they can't hit. They can't hit. But if you can get a low scoring game like tonight where you don't need to hit to win, it's their kind of ball game. And they found a way to win. Good win.
Yeah, excellent win. Probably the best played game from top to bottom for them all season. Errorless ball, the relay from Gonzalez to Crawford to Bart, and what a tag by Bart! Scooped it and slapped that tag down, and just his demeanor has just changed overnight. And I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing out of Joey Bart. And this was a huge win because you lose tonight, you go 7.5 back, but you're now within 5.5 of the Padres. And I thought to myself tonight, wouldn't it be hilarious if the Padres get Juan Soto and the Giants catch him with, and we've been shredding the Farhan regime and everything that's going on, and the Giants end up turning it around. I mean, I'm getting way ahead of ourselves. I know that, but one game, but it sure was nice.
I had the exact same feeling you did. I actually, what made me feel sort of like weird about this game is just seeing their lineup, and Soto makes the great play in the field, but I've been monitoring, and the Dodgers beat the crap out of us, but maybe the Dodgers are just the best team in the league, and it's not really particularly close. And because they just went in, they smacked around the Padres. The Padres wanted to show up and be like, "Oh, look who's loaded. Oh, you thought you had a good lineup. Oh, we're kind of coming here and blow your doors off." Nope, they got swept. Now the Padres come in here. They've got a little bit of an identity crisis. The Giants, I guess at this point, they're either just going to be streaky throughout the rest of the year and probably end up missing the playoffs by a lot of games, or they're kind of like that kid that I actually was, where you wait till the last day to study or the last day to write a paper. Now that we're into the point where Giants, if you lose this series, like, season's over, just so you know. Right. And they are stepping up a little bit, and it just felt like, man, San Diego always has these fun, lovable teams everyone roots for. They even add big stars, and they just always find a way to screw it up. And so when I'm seeing that last inning, when Doval, I'm like, this is freaking hilarious. He has to go Soto, Machado, Bell, and then if he gets past Bell, he has Drury. Like, all these guys are 20 home runs already. And we just did it, man.
Welcome back, Rye. How you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot better now, but I'll tell you what, I just ate like my first solid food in like 3 days because my mouth tastes like ass, and I don't know.
Are you still positive, or are you negative yet?
Yep, tested positive earlier this morning. It's pretty demoralizing. I was just like, I want to be over this, but
it takes. I had it for 10 days. Man.
I feel like my fever broke, but all the other crap's still there. I'm still just kind of out of it. Zombie.
Yeah, the worst part's the cough will hang on and stuff like that.
Sometimes everybody's a little different. Rod Dunham says Crawford rejoins the lineup. The Giants are 3-0 since. Nick J says Giants are 39-32 when Crawford plays. The Giants are incredibly thin. they're a thin team, and if they can put their absolute grade A number one lineup out there, they can be representative. I think that's what you saw in April. That's what you saw in April from this club. They were healthy early in the year. They were fresh early in the year. They got off to a 14-7 start. When they're healthy and they can put everybody out there, it's not a horrendous club. But then all of a sudden, when you have a couple of injuries, and here comes the Stewie Fairchilds and the Padlows and the parade of minor leaguers, they're non-competitive. They really are. They're just very, very thin club. Now they're getting healthy. We'll see if they can stay healthy. Mark Hope donates $5. He says, "Love you guys. My thoughts are that B. Craw made a big difference tonight, and obviously the arms dealt. By the way, I had steak for dinner in honor of Larry's anniversary."
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
hilarious.
Yeah, I took my wife to House of Prime Rib the other night for our anniversary, so I mentioned that on the show. So Mark, congratulations on the steak dinner in honor of our anniversary. But yeah, Giants get a win. Wood was fantastic. Let's talk about the play of the game, though. Gonzalez picks the ball off the track. He hits Crawford. Now, there's several elements of this thing that I thought were really important. One, when Gonzalez came up, he didn't throw a looping ball. He threw an absolute strike to Crawford. Now, kids, if you're watching Crawford perfectly positioned his body so that he's halfway turned to home plate. So he could literally catch and throw. And he did. He didn't have to move, and then he just threw an absolute bullet to Joey Bart. But man, the big winner on this one was Joey Bart, who has to take that absolute rocket of a throw, and then in one swoop, he's got to come up with the catcher in the catcher's glove, not a first baseman's glove, a catcher's glove. He's got to scoop it and tag all in one motion, and he did, and he got Drury. And from the first glance, I thought he got him, and then when they showed it again, I thought, no, you know what? It looked like since they called him safe, or they called him out,
I think his hand was over the like up, and it never hit his fingers never touched the plate.
Well, I just think he tagged him before he got there. He tagged him before he got there, and
hand was right.
It was one of those things where that play where Drury, went for the plate, but the tag got there first, and it was that much of a bang tag.
It was.
And I just thought they were going to sit there and say, you know what, tie base, go. Not overwhelming evidence.
I thought they were going to say the play stands.
When they showed it, you could see how the tag definitely got there a hair before the hand got in. So it was a good reversal, but it was a surprise. To me, that was a surprise.
What make baseball so interesting? I mean, they're so poor at marketing. Why not go to New York and show the screens that these guys are actually looking at? Because they're freezing it. I guarantee you they had a freeze frame of the tag and where the hand was. Let us see that, and it would make it so much more interesting. It would just be kind of like cool to see what they're doing.
You might get that someday, but not in real time. You're going to get it afterwards. They may show you that afterwards, take you behind the scenes. But from what I've been told, at their Mission Control Center, they've got every angle, but they also have the ability to blow it up. So that they can take a real close look. The one angle from above looked like he was in there safe. But then when they showed the angle that was a little bit offset, you could see that the tag came in, and you could see the tag being applied to the uniform before the hand actually got down. So great tag by Bart, great relay by Crawford, great throw by Gonzalez. I mean, that is textbook, baby. That's how you do it. Yeah. I mean, that is one of the best defensive plays of the year, and the Giants needed it. And I just kind of feel like the Padres they're a team that has never done it. They're a losing franchise. They always have been. and now they've got the expectations. And it's amazing how good they looked last month before they made the addition of Soto, because now there's expectations. Now that and you know what? Anytime there's expectations, there's a little bit of a burden. And if not every team, that's one thing to play with no expectations. It's another thing to do what you're expected to do. And the Padres were expected to. I think they were minus 190 tonight. They're expected to win. And they're expected to beat this Giants team. They go to LA, they get knocked around, they get a little of their swagger knocked off. By the way, what an incredible catch in right field by Soto.
Oh yeah, I thought he was going to get concussed or something. The way he hit his face right into that wall, it didn't even look that padded, that wall. I don't know.
But what do you think? The Padres look like they're pressing.
Well, they're 1-5 since Soto's been in the lineup.
It's the curse of supposed to. It's like if you're supposed to win, all of a sudden things get a little tight, especially for young teams. I mean, in the NFL, you see it all the time. There's always the team going into camp who you're like, oh, you know what? I think this year is going to be the year when, the Niners, the year when Jimmy G, before they made the Super Bowl. It's like everyone's hyped. They see the talent, all this stuff, or like before they got Harbaugh. But then it's always the second or the third year is like when you've gone through the battles, that's when it actually starts to happen. And the Padres didn't get really any, that's one good thing we did. We kind of blocked them from experience, from like gaining more experience
I'll tell you, there's a lot of talk about, it's one game. I will become a believer if the Giants sweep the Padres. I'll start to have hope.
That's all it's going to take. If they sweep the Padres, you're going to be a believer after all the bitching and moaning. That's 1 3-game sweep and you're back in.
No, that would be 5 in a row. If they beat the Padres, they beat two in a row.
I'll be back in if the Giants win like 7 of 8 twice. If they win 7 of 8 and then they win 7 of 8 again, something like that. If they win like 15 of 16, I'm back in. There's 7 back in the wild card.
5.5 now. 5.5. So, but I'm serious. If they get to within 3.5, I will start to have. I won't say they're going to make it. I'll just be back on the saddle, kind of like feeling like, hey, we got a baseball season again. Because if they go out and lose the next 2
later, Trey,
it'll be like, geez. But actually, Tony D asked a question of me, and I'm going to answer that, Tony. Buster actually freaked out when he saw Joey the tag. He said, "That's my boy." Buster jumped up and said, "I taught him how to do that." Come on, Buster. Show him what you did. You got into the tag. Come on, Buster. Look like you were earlier.
I like a little emotion, Buster.
Come on, Buster. Come here.
Did you give Buster a Valium?
Sit, Buster.
I'm like halfway expecting Buster to like do a flip start right now.
Come on, Faith.
Drake Jackson can do flips. Can Buster do a flip?
Drake Jackson. Did you see that? Man.
Wait, fellas, you know what? Look at their lineup tonight. And here's a big thing. I felt this the whole game. And I think that relay to home was like proof and proof of concept. They decided to go out there today and put out a professional baseball lineup. None of those guys are freaking, all-stars. But they're all professional baseball players playing a position they can reasonably field that they're comfortable at. And it's like, that's all we want from you guys. Like, just put out a professional team. Like,
put the best defense out there. I'll tell you, the key to that play was Gonzalez not only, hustling over there full speed on a sprint to get to the ball, but the way he got to the ball and was half turned, and he turned and fired that strike, like Larry said. Gonzalez has got a really good arm. He doesn't throw that looping arch, of a throw. He throws it on a line. And the fact that he did that to Crawford, when he hit Crawford, I said, oh, this is going to be close. This is going to be close. I didn't think they would actually get him because it just seemed like Crawford's throw was going to have to be perfect, and it wasn't perfect. It was almost perfect, but Bart then was the one that really closed that out. Didn't that one hop him?
Yeah.
It was a one hopper. It was an incredible play by Bart. Bart made the play. I mean, Crawford made an incredible play too, but Crawford credited Bart in the post game, and he should, because that was an unbelievable scoop tag. It was an incredible play just to scoop that throw, but to scoop it and tag the guy in one motion.
Yeah,
I mean, that was phenomenal. I'll also give it up for Kepler tonight. I mean, the Giants so many times this year have gone with they've got the lefty, and it's just like, we cannot put any lefties in the lineup. But there was Yaz, there was Crawford, there was Luis Gonzalez. Those guys were all in the lineup tonight, even against the lefty. Don't play lefty-righty games just strictly. Put your best lineup out there. Put your best defense out there. Other factors, don't just play Austin Wins because you got a lefty.
The roster kind of dictates it now, though, Larry. They got rid of Mercedes, and they've got rid of Johnson. So what they have is the only right-handed outfielder they have is Slater, and Davis can play some outfield, but Longoria can't play in the field right now because of his hamstring. So you're forced to put Davis at third. So now you've got to go with
Davis.
I like Davis. I'm fine with Davis. I like his bat. I like his arm.
Professional baseball player. It's nice
he's a professional. That was a good move, and I said it the night he made the trade. J.D. Davis is a good player. That was a good trade for the Giants. And
the one thing, though, that is so maddening is that, once again, you get a one-run game. Wood pitch is incredible. You go to Brebbia. He's got to go to Tyler Rogers in a one-run game.
Yeah, that took balls. I mean,
Jesus, Kepler. I mean, how many times do you got to see Rogers? How many times do you got to see Rodgers before you just say, you know what, enough of Rodgers in high leverage situations? It's like, hey, we all should have somebody in our life that believes in us the way Gabe Kepler believes in Tyler Rogers. My God.
Yeah.
He's just wed to Tyler Rogers.
Can we just put him on the no-fly list for LA? Like, come on. I was just
shocked to see him. I was just shocked.
Yeah, just don't let him face LA. Yeah.
Just don't let him face the Dodgers.
Yeah, the Dodgers have a strategy against him, and it's just wait on that thing. Don't try and get out in front of it, and just go the opposite way.
Mark Hope donates $5. He says, to Larry's point, the G-men are good when healthy, but I still very much dislike Farhan's 40 man. Yes, we had Bistek. Bistek on rice.
Filipino steak with soy. My wife would love that.
Onion on rice. Yeah. Nice, Mark.
I gotta ask my wife, hey honey, what's bistek?
It's steak.
Well, yeah, but what kind is it? A certain kind of steak?
I think that's steak.
He just says it. He has a little soy, a little lemon, a little onion over rice. A nice little bed of rice.
I got to take a picture of that and send that to my wife on the screen. Hold on, guys. She'll leave that up there. Hey, put that back up there. I want to see that. I can take a quick picture of that. There we go. Got it. All right.
Mark Graves, where's it? Mark Graves says the lunatic fringe is jumping back on the bandwagon. Well, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon.
I'm not on it yet. I'm
definitely not on it. I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer. It was a great win tonight, but I'm not a believer. The Giants this year are 14-19 in one-run games. If they get to 5 over in one-run games, that means they're winning a bunch of good games and playing good ball.
Yeah.
That would be what, 24. They win 10 in a row in one-run games, and now they're 24-19 and they're 5 over. Maybe I'll believe. But they're just so, the thing about it is, how long can they put their grade A lineup out there? They put it out there for a few days, and then here comes a substitute. Here comes an injury, and suddenly it's the parade of minor leaguers again. So,
right.
And also, let's be honest. I mean, these are the games they can win. They can win 1-0. They can win 2-1. They can win 3-2. Those are the kinds of games the Giants are built to win. Why? Because they've played in October. They've played, those guys with World Series rings. Crawford's in the middle of the diamond. That double play in the eighth, I think, was it the eighth? The Padres hit into the double play. That helped quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, the Giants, there's the thing about the Giants, and it's like, what would you say about this year? How would you describe this year? I would say not enough easy runs, not enough easy wins. They don't score a bunch of runs. They don't get a lot of easy runs. And because of it, they don't get a lot of easy wins. So they're grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding. So tonight they got a nice win, and they've won 3 in a row. But they got to get the bats going. I mean, the old saying is pitching stops long losing streaks, but hitting is what fuels long winning streaks. And if they could get the bats going and score 5 or 6 runs a game, who knows? Who knows? Because, Cobb's pitching better. Webb's pitching well. Rodon's pitching well. Wood was outstanding tonight. I mean, that was a phenomenal outing by Wood. Junis has been a gamer pretty much in almost every start he's made this year. He's a battler. So, you know what? It starts there. They get a good start. If they can play relatively clean defense. But, I mean, they got to win all these low-scoring games and hopefully get the bats going. If they get the bats going, if you want me to believe, get those bats going. You get those bats going, and suddenly they're scoring 5 runs, 6 runs, winning some easy games, winning 6-2, winning, 7-1, games like that. Then I'll start to believe. A 1-0 win over the Padres, I'm not a believer. That was a great win, right. But I'm not back on the bandwagon.
No, not yet. It's going to take at least a sweep, and then come home and keep it going. But
MF says thoughts on the prune yard. What's the prune yard?
I don't know the prune yard.
I think it was probably referenced early in here by MF.
I think Robert Rothberg. I think he thinks this is the 2019 St. Louis Blues or something, that the Giants can win it all.
What? He's not saying that.
He did, Robert. He did right here.
Yeah,
a healthy Giant team can win it all.
Oh, come on, Robert.
Statistically, I mean, if wait
a second, I can win it all. Can win the World Series, Robert.
I mean, technically, the Kings could win the NBA championship next year, technically speaking. But, no.
I mean, this is...
I do think I still think they can make the playoffs. I really do.
It's going to take, as I said last night on the show, I think you were still... I think I said yesterday, we kind of figured out they'd have to win 37-17 out of their last 54. So now they've got to go...
They have to play better ball. Wait a second. They have to play better ball down the stretch than they've played at any point this year.
I mean, it's possible. Teams do get hot. I mean,
14-7 in April. They were 7 over in April. Danny's saying they're going to play 10 over or 20 over.
They got to play 685 ball as of yesterday.
Come on,
forward as of today. So
how many teams in baseball? How many teams in baseball right now are playing 685 ball?
I know the Dodgers and the Yankees, I believe. Let me see. Let me look it up.
I mean, last year we did it like every month.
Yeah, last year was unbelievable. I mean, it is possible to do it for a short
we haven't
period.
Really had our run yet.
But right now, the Yankees are playing at 6. Well, they're not even at 680. They're 642.
If the Giants had one guy they could call up out of their system and just be absolutely on fire offensively, that would change the equation. But they don't have that guy. I mean, what's Elliot Ramos doing down there?
Nothing. They got Bryce Johnson.
If they had one guy,
they got Bryce Johnson. Oh no, they don't.
No, he went down. But I mean, if they had one guy in the minors that could come up and just really rake for a couple weeks, maybe they could get into some kind of, some kind of good vibe feel and just start playing with the house's money and feeling loose and feeling good. But this is so Giants, though, isn't it? They do this a lot where it's like they get to a point in the year and you're just about to say, you know what, put a freaking fork in the Giants. They're done. And then all of a sudden it's this magic carpet ride and they come rallying back and here they go. I don't think it's going to get net them a playoff berth, but I could see them playing better ball down the stretch. They clearly are hungry. They understand the urgency. You know, they're kind of one of those teams that, you know, has been there before. So there's a lot of guys with experience. They could grind out some wins for sure. They didn't get rid of Rodon, so you got Rodon and Webb, you know, fronting the top of that rotation. If you know, somehow Cobb and Wood and Junis continue to pitch real well, and Webb and Rodon got hot down the stretch, but still, I mean, they're still going to have to score some runs.
Yeah, Robert's getting beat up in the chat here.
My thing is not even about runs. If we can play defense like we played today for a consistent stretch, that's all I'm asking for. Because we actually gave away. Not only were we not a good hitting team, we also gave away the option to win these 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 games because we started playing just bullshit defense. Like I've not seen the Giants play that bad. Really, I've not seen a team play that bad of defense for that long a stretch in my entire life. I mean,
it's a bad combo too because they don't have strikeout pitchers for the most part. So their pitchers are, you know, are the kind of pitchers that hitters put the ball in play against, and then they don't make the plays.
Yep, fielding and the FIP. I know we joke about it, but the fielding independent pitching stats are all like Giants are as a team number 1, Carlos Rodon number 2. Like, you know, it's
Jim Molay says, I hope my local dispensary is selling whatever Robert is smoking. And then DJ Venus says, hey, a healthy Browns team can win it all.
Robert is saying that they get into the playoffs, they have the best pitching staff.
No,
they could dominate.
That's absolutely not true. We don't have the bullpen unless things.
Though Doval, I'll say this: Doval, when you watch Doval and he's going 103 tonight to finish it off, and then you know Javi, who was, you know, Javi didn't throw hard at all, and he's watching it, and he's like, hey man, when you got 100, you know, you can be right over the middle of the plate. You don't have to be that fine. That's the thing with Doval. I mean, the Giants don't have a lot of young talent, but the young talent they do have right now, Joey Bart, who's coming around, and Camilo Doval, who throws 100. You know, 103. And man, when you're pumping 103 miles an hour, and you're spotting those pitches off the plate. He had one that was, I mean, maybe an inch off the plate. It was 101 on a 2-strike. I think it was an 0-2 pitch at 101 right off the plate, and Bell took it. And it's like, wow, man. I mean, that was almost a perfect pitch. 101 on the outside corner. It was probably about an inch or two off the outside corner. So Doval didn't get the call, but I mean, that's just a perfect pitch. I mean, a left-handed hitter, you're going to pitch him away at 101.
You get Doval going and you get Bart going. You have something to build for the future in 3 young guys right up the middle. A great starter in Webb, a closer in Doval, and your catcher. Now you just need to get a center fielder. And evidently Bryce Johnson, Farhan said we got to get better defensively, brings him up and then sends him back down today because of Longoria. My question out there in Twitter was, what's the plan? You said you needed defense, and you sent
But that guy's not a major league hitter, Danny.
I know, but they said they got to shore up the defense. And so they stick Slater back out there again. Why not Yaz is a better center fielder than Slater.
I'm cool as long as as long as it's like Slater, Yaz, and
put Slater on the corner. I've seen him miss too many tonight. He almost ball was like. I mean, he made that too close for comfort. That catch with Gonzalez. I mean, it's like if that's your ball, Slater, make it clear from the beginning and get Gonzalez didn't hear him until the very end, and because Slater didn't take command. And it was like, I don't know. I just don't see Slater as he's a serviceable center fielder, but he's not a good center fielder.
No. Jim Molay donates $10. He says $10 tangent. Today I learned by listening to 95.7 The Game that Larry used to watch Barry Bonds play in high school games. That's pretty cool, brother. Yeah, it's funny. The one thing I did when I was like in junior high, I was into pro sports, but I was really into high school sports. Like my brother was 5 years older than me. So, when I was like 12, 13, 11, 12, 13, I every night I was watching, SI play Reardon, SI play SH. I was watching high school basketball, high school baseball, high school football. I mean, I was not walking around going, I want to be the next Barry Bonds. I was walking around saying, I want to be the next, Paul McGoldrick or one of these guys, Jeff Glosser, or these guys who played for St. Ignatius, who those guys were my heroes, man. I mean, I can remember that just very clearly. And I told the story today about how when my brother was class of 83 from St. Ignatius, well, Barry Bonds was class of 82. And when Barry, I think, was a junior, or maybe it was a senior, I came home early from school. My brother's like, yeah, you want to go watch SI play Sarah and Barry Bonds at West Sunset? And we trudged across the sand dunes to watch that game. And Barry Bonds parked one in the sand dunes in right field. And I was describing that today on the radio. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks for listening to us. And by the way, tomorrow I'll be back on with Guru from noon to 3 on 95.7 The Game. I don't know about you guys, but I love working with Guru. Guru's fun. I do watch it. It's a good show. Yeah. Yeah, he's good. So he owes me a beer because the story of the day was that KD basically told the owner Joe Tsai of the Brooklyn Nets, fire Sean Marks, the GM, and fire Steve Nash, the head coach, or trade me. I either want to be traded or I want those guys fired. And Guru's like, oh yeah, they'll fire Marks, they'll fire Nash. And I'm like, really? I don't see that, man. I don't see them. I realize KD's KD, but KD's 34, he's had an Achilles, has already demanded like 19 different things with the Nets. And Joe Tsai is just going to fire his handpicked GM and head coach to keep KD. Now I understand NBA players have tons of leverage, but I just didn't see it. And sure enough, now we'll see if Joe Tsai this is just talk, but Joe Tsai, the owner of the Nets, tweeted out support for Marks and support for Nash. So it doesn't sound like KD is going to be able to power play the coach and the GM right out of there. But man, that's ballsy, man. That's ballsy. It's like either trade me or get rid of the coach and the GM. I mean, that just blow up your entire franchise to appease me again or trade me. I mean, that's just so 2022 NBA superstar, petulant baby. I mean, my God. I mean, that you don't see that in other sports. You really don't. You don't see it in baseball. You don't see it in football. You don't see it in hockey. Nobody says, you know what? Get rid of Shanahan and Lynch or trade me. I mean, it's like Deebo Samuel might say trade me, but he doesn't say get rid of Shanahan and Lynch or trade me. But, you don't see that you don't see Mac Jones saying, get rid of Belichick or trade me. You don't see it in other sports, but you see it, in the NBA. It's like, hey, you know what? You might see it. You might actually have a player who and sometimes it works. Magic got rid of Paul Westhead. LeBron got rid of Mike Brown.
LeBron's got rid of the guy from overseas. What was that first coach that first year? David Blatt. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot about David Blatt. Yeah, he got rid of Blatt, and he got rid of. What'd you guys think of that, though? KD. I mean, KD has made so many demands through the years. I was looking at the list of what exactly he's demanded over time, and he's made a number of demands.
I mean, seriously, he at one point he said sign DeAndre Jordan, then he said sign Kyrie, then he said start DeAndre Jordan over Allen, then it was fire Kenny Atkinson, hire Steve Nash, trade Allen and Karis LeVert for James Harden, trade Harden or I'm not going to be happy. I'm like, now he wants Nash and Marks both out. I got a kick out of that, but it doesn't sound like Joe Tsai is going to listen to KD. What do you guys think?
KD should just play basketball. I mean, he at this point he's on Twitter so much and making so many comments that he could go out the next 3 years, play just incredible basketball and let his legacy speak for itself on the court. Because if he continues to do this, all this shenanigans, he is going to be kind of remembered as kind of a poutsy-woutsy guy. And to me, he's
what'd
got
you
the
call
best.
him? Wait, what'd you call him?
Poutsy-woutsy. I did
poutsy
a poo-poo.
Woutsy?
Yeah, he's just kind of a.
All right, Danny has to be muted there. I mean, that's poo-poo in the pants. That's Danny's poutsy woutsy. I mean, look at Danny. Danny knows. He's like, you know what? I belong in here. You know what? Go get some completes in your grill and then come back to me.
It's like, I forgot that I wasn't talking to Buster Stuffed Animal. I'm sorry.
Outsy, woutsy. Hey, Spider 8 says Jeff Glosser, who I just referenced, the former Saying Nations basketball player, was in the movie Teen Wolf. He was Michael J. Fox's double for all the basketball scenes. Hey, Spider 8. That is some outstanding Saying Nations High School, alumni, knowledge right there. That is true. Jeff Glosser, you guys ever see the movie Teen Wolf?
I've heard of it.
Heard of it? You heard of the movie, right?
I know the whole premise.
We'll unmute Danny now. All right, Danny, have you ever heard of Teen Wolf?
No.
You never heard of the movie? No, Teen Wolf. Movie. It was a movie.
I've heard of it. I didn't see it. I just want to let everybody know that when I disappeared, I had controls, and I actually got myself out of the show for that comment. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was weak. That was weak, man.
I think you ought to change your 925 number for realmoney.com. I mean, you might want to just have a cleansing, a cleansing of everything. Just hit the restart. Hit the restart.
I think I need a true colon cleanse after that one.
You got to translate the movie titles to him. Teen Wolf.
No, but Glosser played Michael J. Fox. He played the Teen Wolf basketball scenes. He was a great basketball player in high school. And I think he went to Loyola Marymount. And so he was down in LA when they filmed that movie. And, if you watch this guy play high school ball, he looked the exact same playing Michael J. Fox and Teen Wolf. Mark Hope, $2. Bowsy wowsy. There you go.
Hey, we had a comment back here a while back. We need to get that up there.
Dustin the Gale, $4.99. Do you think it was worth it for Soto to make that catch while running into the wall? No. I thought Soto, was down for the count. Luckily, that thing was padded. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. It's a big boy running full speed into a wall.
Soto, more like Dodo. Yeah. Okay, check out this also. This is this is the Giants defense. We last checked in on this a while ago. So the leading this stat is essentially defensive runs saved, defensive runs saved for the season. So compared to an average expectation. So the Astros are first at 26 and the Giants are all the way down at negative 40.6. Behind them are the Nationals at negative 34.4. And then from there, it goes all the way down to negative 18. So I don't even count the Nationals. Negative 20.
Well, okay. If you're going to have a light hitting team and you're going to try to win with pitching, you have to have defense. Or you need a strikeout staff. If you've got a staff like the 86 Mets, where they had Doc Gooden and they had David Cohn, Sid Fernandez, Ron Darling, every guy they're throwing out there is punching out 8, 9 guys.
Right.
Yeah, you can get away with some pretty mediocre or even subpar defensive players. But if you're got a staff full of guys who put the ball in play, you better be able to pick up the ball. And that was been a major, downfall for the Giants this year, is that Farhan, especially with the DH, they didn't really spend money on a real DH. So they want to play all these mix and match games, and they had all kinds of spots on their roster devoted to guys who potentially could DH. None of them were all that great. And having that many guys on the roster, you had Ruff and you had Mercedes, and you got guys all over the place who aren't good defenders. Well, you know what? You got to emphasize some defense every now and then. And I just think that, especially if you're going to have pitchers who put the ball in play, you have to play defense. And I think that, the Giants figured it out halfway through. J Stamps 101. Are you and Guru doing a hit in Santa Clara this week? I will be at the Niner game on Friday. Guru and I will be on tomorrow from noon to 3 and Wednesday from noon to 3.
Blair, what do you think the protocols are for media? Do you think I have to do the test negative for 5 days in a row before I'm allowed to go to the game?
I don't know.
I think you just need 2 negative, at least a negative test for.
Yeah, you definitely need a negative test.
Definitely a negative test. And by the way, Lair, not to just air this over the airways, but did you get your email with the Niners, our press passes, our official press pass email?
Did that come today?
Yeah, it came today, and I just saw it, and I got so stoked. It was like, we're happy to tell you that we have you have a season-long media pass and parking spot, and we'll discuss. It was a cool thing.
Did I get it? Maybe I didn't get one.
Maybe I gave them is it Larry? Okay, wait. All right, now. Okay, now we'll do this after the show.
We'll do this after the show, yeah. But I'll be there for the game, and we're looking forward to it.
I gave him your address. Larry lives at 247 Broadway Street, and his phone number, his personal phone number, and his email is, and his wife's email is.
Mark Graves says, bring Guru a Krueg Show T-shirt. Tired of him wearing a Cowboys jersey. That's right. I'll bring him one tomorrow. I got some new Krueg Show T-shirts, new gear.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that. He had he's wearing number 1. Who's number 1? Is that Dak or?
No, I asked him, I said, who's number 1? He said, it's just for him. It says Johnson on the back. That's his last name. So he just went with his Cowboy number 1 jersey.
Is he a Cowboys fan?
Big Cowboys fan, yeah.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson, maybe. Hey, you can relate to Jimmy.
I don't know why exactly he's a Cowboy fan. It's funny. 49ers says Joe Tsai is worth $8.5 billion. He has little tolerance for KD.
Yeah, no, he broke. That's everything I've heard is that he snapped, and it's now look, this went from me wanting to be super accommodating to you, KD, to now you've effed with my business, and you're effing with my business. You made me trade away future picks. I'm not going to just give you away and lose freaking $1 billion worth of franchise valuation. That's not happening unless we figure something out. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if maybe this is partially a leverage play by KD, knowing he's not going anywhere, to try and get them to give security long-term to Kyrie, which just would be worse, arguably.
Oh, yeah. You can't trust that guy. You don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah. Also, people are saying that the new Predator movie is good. And that is the one movie I've watched during this COVID. I was like, oh, okay. I feel like I did something with my day. I'll watch a movie. It is really good. Loved it.
Wow.
You can't, stars are everything in the NBA, but come on, get rid of the coach and the GM after you've made this many demands. It's funny. Guru was convinced. He's like, oh yeah, they'll get rid of the GM and the coach. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're not getting rid of those guys. It's like, oh yeah, KD's KD and it's the players' league. Yeah. But I don't know. I just, to me, it just seemed like going over the line. It's like, it feels like asking too much. And also, it's like one of those things. KD were 24. If you're 24, you have more leverage than if you're 34. In sports, that's really it. I mean, if he was going to be around for the next 10 years, it'd be one thing. But what does he got? What does he realistically got? 3 years left. You're gonna set that precedent and run off a hand-picked general manager and a future in a Hall of Fame 2-time MVP head coach because KD doesn't like him and he's acting like a petulant child and he's demanding these guys to be gone. I mean, it's just.
But the more he pops off, the more KD pops off, the more LeBron pops off. It just makes Steph look so much better. I mean, Steph is just he's the king of the league.
We need to take this Giants and like Buster retiring, and now it's like all set in. Like, holy crap, we didn't realize he was worth so much. And I mean, we got to really just embrace these last, whatever it is, 3-4 years of the
4 years. You probably got 3-4 years. 4 years.
Here we go. We got a good question here from Brian Lucena. He says, I have an old guy request for information. I want to buy a video game system to play MLB The Show. Which one should I buy?
I gotta say, so here's the thing: the MLB The Show used to be exclusive to PlayStation, and to the point where I almost thought about getting a PlayStation just so I can play that game. The contract finally came up, and then this year now Xbox also has it. I play on my Xbox. I just think Xbox is maybe a little bit of an easier entry level. It's the same level of competitiveness, but I don't know. I feel like the controllers aren't as sensitive and stuff. I'd go with an Xbox.
Hey, speaking of baseball and excitement and the way I was, Bond's home run 756 was a couple days ago on the 7th, or was it yesterday, right? The 7th of August. And so you saw a lot of the highlights of his home run, and the place was absolutely packed and went completely crazy. And then I remember being there in 2000 when, or was it 2002, I believe it was, the year they went to the World Series, when Rob Nen would come out, and he'd come out to smoke on the water, and the place would just be going bananas, This weekend.
Trevor Hoffman with the Hell's Bells.
Yeah. Diaz was Edwin Diaz with the Mets came out yesterday. Did you guys happen to see his walkout song? It was electrifying.
Go with.
I don't know. I sent it to Ryan. I was hoping we could play. It's all over Twitter. I don't know if
I doubt we could play it. What is it?
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the song, but it was just one of the. It got me into like, man, go Mets! Let's go Mets! I mean, I was like fired up, watching it. I was thinking, to have that kind of atmosphere. It just got the place rocking, and I think I was.
Hell's Bells. I mean, I would say Trevor Hoffman owes a lot to AC/DC. I mean, he used to come out of that pen with Hell's Bells. Trevor Hoffman used to throw 95 to 96, something like that. And then basically for like 5 years after that, he would throw that changeup, and he was throwing like 88 mile an hour changeups, and he would come into the game, and here comes Hell's Bells, and everybody's geared up to hit the fastball, and he just started changeup. He'd be back in the dugout with the save.
Here's a picture my brother had last week down at Del Mar with his son and Trevor Hoffman. It's actually hilarious because it's live photo, and if I press it, you hear Trevor say, "F the Giants."
Oh, that's hilarious. Wait, Larry, you know what? This is a question I've never really gotten to the bottom to. Why? Because somebody says, I know this isn't a hot take, but MVP Baseball 2005 is the greatest baseball game of all time. I freaking love that game. And it got me thinking, why was it that Barry Bonds was never in any of the video games? Why was he always some random, a lot of times generic white guy that just like...
He probably didn't sign the agreement. He probably had there's probably some overarching agreement that he had to be part of and just wouldn't sign. Probably. That'd be my guess. My kid loves MLB The Show. Is it first PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
and it's
song
pretty
was
freaking
called
real. I will say that.
Narco.
The stadiums are so good.
Oh, you can play on like the polo grounds and the
Oh, I
field
know.
games and stuff. And you can play co-op. So if you want to hop on the sticks with me, we take off,
God, hey, Spider 8, man. This guy used to live in my old neighborhood. He says, Larry, if it was date night back in the day and you went to Getz, did you go to Bill's Place or Taco the Town? All right. First of all, I used to love going to Taco the Town. Taco the Town was phenomenal. But Bill's Place was definitely, it was around the corner, and they made incredible hamburgers and the patty melt and the milkshakes. I would say neither was a date place. Of course, I was a little boy at the time, so I wasn't necessarily in the dating scene. But I don't remember anybody really. I don't think you were necessarily cruising either place if you were on a date.
Did you
Bill's
walk down
Place
to
or
Bill's?
Taco the Town?
Did you walk down to Bill's Place at 6 or 7 and sneak out and get a burger like you did to get your Matchbox car?
No, but it was in the same place. Good place, good burger place. My dad used to get the patty melt. They had great chocolate shakes. We would go there. I would say every few weeks.
Yeah, why is it some of the best food places are like little hole in the walls? I was up in Idaho.
I used to love Piro's Pizza on Terraville.
Yeah.
I'm sure Hey Spider 8 probably has been there as well. Also, Paradise Pizza in West Portal was good. My old buddy Sal used to own that place.
I was up in Idaho, and they had one of those little like trailers that you see at carnivals and stuff. That was a place of business, and they had the best burger. It was a burger with pastrami on it. Oh man, it was.
It sounds a little salty, but you know what? Guy Fieri, when he does all these burger places, they'll go to these places that just has everything. Burgers that are stacked that high, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I had about 3 1 week, and all of a sudden it was like I got.
I'll tell you, I haven't had that many pastrami sandwiches in my life. Pastrami and corned beef. I like both sandwiches. I just don't eat either that much.
Oh, I got addicted to Reubens at one point.
Yeah, being Italian, I love salami. I always had salami growing up.
Italian dry salami.
I always had that at parties and different things. And
here we go. Calba says Barry Bonds withdrew from the licensing agreement in 2003. There's your answer.
Yeah. Interesting.
So here we go. Clarence Peaks, Doggy Diner. There used to be.
Doggy Diner's good. Yeah, I like Doggy Diner.
When I was a little kid, talking about in the early 70s, on Lombard Street, there was Fillmore and Lombard. There was a Doggy Diner, right? And all it was a hot dog place, but it had a massive, and I'm talking about like maybe a story high dog head. It was just a gigantic dog head. and just remembering that now, it's like, that you would never see that now. Just some gigantic dog head. They wouldn't want the imagery of a dog and a Doggy Diner. It's just like, it was obviously a hot dog.
There's an implication.
Yeah, the last thing you'd want is a picture of a dog.
When I was a kid, I used to go to my aunt would take me. She lived in the city. Used to go over to Swenson's and on Hyde and Fillmore. Yeah, Hyde and Union. Yeah, my aunt
been there many times, man. Many times.
You guys remember the show, the TV series McMillan and Wife?
I remember. I never watched it, but I do remember
with Rock Hudson and Susan St. James.
Yeah.
Well, they used the house.
She was smoking.
Yeah, they used the house there on Greenwich Street in San Francisco, the outside, but the inside was in L.A., but the outside they would show them walking into the house at the bottom of Greenwich Street. Well, that was my aunt and uncle's house. It was
really
cool. Yeah,
well, they used to film Streets of San Francisco with Michael Douglas and Carl Malden. Yeah. That was in San Francisco.
That was a great show too.
That was a great show.
Carl Malden, that big nose he had there with the kind of.
Jim Olay says, "I do have the Zims T-shirt. Do you guys remember Zims?"
I do not.
It's kind of like Denny's. It was on Taravel, 19th and Taravel. There was one on Lincoln and 19th, Zims. It was just like a kind of a Denny's.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Swenson's though that was awesome to go to. And another hot
We
dog
used to go to
place.
Big Heart in high school. We used to go to Big Heart, which is in the Richmond, and the place was open. The place was open all night long. The place was open till like 3. I think it might have been open literally 24 hours. And you'd go to this place, and they would show movies. They'd be showing movies in the restaurant with like the lights would be like pretty dim. And, the food was actually pretty good. But it was weird because, it was like a late night place that was dark and people were eating and there was lights, but the lights were really low and everybody was watching movies.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
I bet
it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. It was on Geary, outer Richmond. People probably remember that one.
I bet
Big
you
Heart.
were a teenager that hopped on the cable cars and didn't pay. Come on.
Danny, the cable car thing was like a total touristy thing. I mean, I grew up in the Sunset.
You never jumped up on the cable car just to get a ride somewhere?
No. My grandfather used to drive the cable cars.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what the cable cars use for brakes to this day?
Licorice.
Wood planks.
Really?
Wood planks.
Huh.
They stopped the cable cars with wood planks.
Wow.
That's a true story. So like if you ever see a cable car coming down the street and you're just like, do not run in front of the cable car. The guy can stop it, but it's like it's not power brakes. It's not like he can stop it instantaneously. Yeah, I'll give you the story of how my grandfather met my grandmother. My grandfather fought in World War I. He then got out of the Army. They told him he could go anywhere he wanted to be, anywhere he wanted to go. He was from Milwaukee. He said, I want to go to San Francisco. So, because back then we're talking about, the teens, 1915 or something like that.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of mobility, right? Wherever you were, that's where you were. You weren't like, I may move to Minneapolis. No, you wherever you were, you pretty much were.
You weren't like these Kevin Durant types just moving all over,
You weren't moving all over the place. So he gets out of the Army and they say, you can go be stationed, you can be released anywhere you want to be released. He said, I want to be released in San Francisco. He got a job working for, it wasn't the Muni. It was like the Muni's, the counterpart to the Muni. There were two different railways in the city. He worked for one, and he was working as a cable car conductor. And my grandmother was a daughter of an Italian immigrants. She lived on the cable car line. He would see her in the window and write love notes, put them in the newspaper, slow the cable car down by her house, and throw the newspaper on her stairs.
Oh, wow.
And point down, and she'd come down, get the newspaper, and read the note.
Oh,
and that's how they met. So they started
Grandpa,
dating.
This is
they
Grandpa
started dating in like the
Krueger?
1920s.
On your dad's
this is my
side?
dad's. This is my dad's dad, Clarence
Krueger. Clarence Krueger.
Clarence Krueger, who and his bride to be was Benedetta Calvo, who became Benedetta Krueger. But yeah, they met on basically she lived on the streetcar line and they started dating in like the late 20s.
I like to imagine your grandpa like popping out of the car and then taking as the train's coming with the wooden plank, and then just like an old timey cartoon and just punching the plank, and then the whole train just goes in like an accordion and then just stops, and that's how he stops it. Yeah.
So what's Krueger? Where's that from?
Germany.
So you got Germany.
So my grandfather was a German. He was German. He grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin, and he ran away from home to join the army. Right at the beginning of World War I.
The German army?
Lied the American army, lied about his age. I think he was like 15 years old, and went and fought on the front lines of World War One. Got out of it, and became a cable car conductor, and there you go. He was pretty much a blue collar guy, and then my dad went to law school and kind of became more of a white collar guy, and so was life. Did you go.
Did he look like he was like 43 when he was like 19, stepping out of the war?
It's funny. It's seeing the old pictures of, my grandfather, and people were so dapper back then. People dressed up, man. They dressed up to go to the game. They dressed up, with the fedora and the suit. And, he used to wear the bolo tie. Ever seen the bolo tie with the two strings?
Yeah. Oh, even if you go back a little further, the women had the original Kardashian, which was like that metal cage that made your ass look big and shapely.
I think it was called a corset. A
corset. Yes, corset. Yeah.
Yes.
Did you guys see the kind of funny? The Warriors put out they're putting out the uniforms from
the Michigan ones.
No,
you're talking about the old Run TMC unis.
Yeah, they're putting those out.
I like them. I like those unis.
Yeah, they showed them today. Did you see? It's pretty funny how they did a nice spot on Chris Mullen. Did you see it? It's pretty funny.
Well, I remember those unis with Victor Alexander and Mr. Jennings and Keith Gatlin.
Can we play that spot, or are we allowed to play any of those spots on this?
No.
It's just Chris talking and just Warriors talking. There's no music or anything. It's pretty funny.
DJ Venus says story time with Larry. Yeah, thank you. It's funny too. My grandfather drove the cable cars. And where I grew up in the Sunset District, in the 30s, they somehow made the cable cars go all the way out to the beach, but it was nothing but sand dunes, like the entire western side of the city. If you look in the Sunset District, almost all those homes are built in the 40s. Well, my grandfather was driving the cable cars out there, all the way to the beach in like the 30s. Right. So, basically the entire Sunset District, which was, I can't even imagine, when you see how many houses there are in the Sunset District of San Francisco, you're talking about avenues that go from 48th all the way up to 15th or 5th, 4th, 3rd, something like that on Irving Street, house after house after house. They're all built right next to each other. And that was all sand dunes, just one gigantic beach that they just kept building and building and building. Really amazing.
Wow.
Amazing times. San Francisco. Now, it's funny. You're going to see San Francisco, this Mission Rock project all south of the ballpark. You're going to see all that renovated probably for the next, 25 years or so. Maybe 50 years. They're going to be building all the way along that eastern waterfront, all the way between Oracle Park and the airport. Then somebody's going to make an awful lot of money rehabbing that land.
Oh my God, yes. A freaking killing.
Mark Hope says, Larry, my great-great-grandfather was in WW1 as well, passed at Veterans Hospital on Clement Street. By the way, the Italian combo at Luca on Chestnut Street is outstanding. It is funny how you think of little things. My grandfather died at Mary's Help Hospital, which was on the hill and in Serramonte. And as a little kid, you'd see it on the way on 280 when you were driving through. And I just remember looking up at that hospital every time driving by, going, I hate that hospital. That's where my grandfather checked in there. He never checked out. I remember just sitting there every time I look up at that hospital and be like, oh man, I hate that hospital. But yeah, old time memories of San Francisco for sure. Donovan says Daly City. Yep. Daly City, top of the hill there in Daly City.
Top of the hill, Daly City. Yeah. Remember that.
Fossey says, Larry, tell us about how you got into sports journalism for us younger guys who recently found out about you. Sports journalism. Okay, so I'm a communications major at Sac State. I happened to fall into a job where I was scouting football players in the Canadian Football League after I worked at Sac State for a while, helping Bob Mattos recruit football players. And basically he's like, hey, help me do recruiting. And I did. And then he said, I'm going to the Canadian League and I'm taking you with me. And I said, great. So I went to the Canadian League and I was scouting. I was and I did that for a couple of years. And then one of the coaches I worked with in the Canadian League became the general manager of the Arizona Cardinals. And he said, you're coming with me, kid. And I said, really? He said, yeah, you're coming with me. So I went with him and I was scouting the West Coast for pro personnel for free agency. This is like 94. And I was just looking to do just anything just to mess around because I was scouting on the weekends. And I found a job at Sports Byline USA Radio Network, and I was just doing affiliate relations. And then I started listening to the shows that I was like, my job was to negotiate with sports talk radio program directors to get them to take our syndicated programming. I started listening to it, and I thought, man, I can do that. I know I can do that. And then I asked them, I said, hey, can I fill in? They said, no, you can't do that. I said, I can do that. And they're like, well, I don't think you can do that. You have no experience. I said, well, you know what? Just give me a shot. I go, anytime you want to give me a shot, I'm just telling you, I'm better than those guys. And so the guy who ran the network, it was like the night before Thanksgiving. He's like, dude, Krueg, one of our guys called in sick on Thanksgiving. If you want to work from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., you can host Sports Overnight America on Thanksgiving night. And so I did. And we just took nothing but calls, more calls. It was like they probably had 350 affiliates and they had all kinds of calls rolling in. And I did it for a night. And I was hooked. I was like, wow, that was fun. And then and then the guy said, you know what? You're right. You are pretty good at this. And then he basically gave me my own show. And that was 1996. And the year after that, the Raiders had moved back from L.A., and they needed a new radio station. KMBR added KMBR 1050. And when I heard they were adding KMBR 1050, I put in an application. And then I kept calling the guy, Bob Agnew, and he said, eventually he called me and he left me a message. He's like, Krueger, it's Bob Agnew from KMBR. I'm like, yeah, Mr. Agnew, great. Good to talk to you. He's like, call off the dogs. I go, what do you mean call off the dogs? He's like, you've had 10 different people calling me saying that I ought to hire you. All right, come on in. I'll interview you. And, and then so I went in there. And I knew, and sometimes you got to prepare yourself for like the kind of question that you're going to get in an interview. And I just knew from this guy's personality that he was going to be really direct. So I knew that he was going to say to me, why the hell should I hire you? And so I was ready for that question. So sure enough, gets to the point in the interview. All right, tell me right now, why should I hire you? And I'm like, because I'm the best you're ever going to have. And I'm like, you know what? You don't got anybody like me. You got a bunch of guys here who are just in it for the free hot dog. I don't care about the free hot dog. I'm going to rip people and I'm going to tell the truth and I'm going to be honest and I'm going to be candid and I'm going to be confident and I know what the hell I'm talking about. And I scouted for a living and I know this game better. I know these games better than these other guys and I can do it and this and that. And eventually he goes, you know what? You got a good line of bullshit. I'm going to hire you. And that's the story. That's the story right there, Fozzie. 1997, hired by KMBR to do weekends, started filling in with Bruce McGowan. And sure enough, within a year, I was doing the nighttime show and basically been doing it ever since. And eventually, I started looking at the scouting thing and going, you know what? Do I want to be on the road 35 weeks a year? Once you get on the road and you go scout and you're really enjoying it, I mean, I loved it and I still love it, but it's isolated, man. It's really isolated. And I'm not that kind of a guy. I love kids. I'm one of 4 kids. My family, I always knew I wanted to have kids. So, the last thing I wanted to do was be gone, 38 weeks a year. So that was pretty much it. I told the guys with the Cardinals, they're like, dude, you're one of our best scouts. You're one of our youngest scouts. I was only 25. And they're like, I was getting promoted. And they're like, you're going to quit this? And I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to. I don't want to be in a hotel room, on Thanksgiving. I don't want to be in a hotel room on Christmas. I don't want to have a casual relationship with my family and my children. I want to be present. And the guy's like, you know what? He was divorced, and like his 3 or 4 of the other scouts that I knew, they were all divorced. And I just kind of saw what pro sports can do to a relationship. And I just said, you know what? If I became a great NFL scout and had no family, I'd have regrets. If I have a great family and I don't get a chance to be an NFL scout, I would have fewer regrets. And that's how I made the decision. And I just never turned back.
Cool.
But there are days. I mean, anybody who knows me, like around draft time, I mean, I sit there and I grind it, and I love watching the film, and I love kind of handicapping the whole thing, and so that's when I typically miss scouting.
Did you tell Agnew that you were responsible for the 10th pick in the 90? I think it was the 95 draft. With you told the Niners to take J.J. Stokes, and even though Warren Sapp was still on the board. Did you tell?
It's funny. I have a buddy from college, and Mole knows him. His name's Joe Kane, and he kept saying, the Niners got J.J. Stokes. J.J. Stokes is going to the Pro Bowl. I mean, I think we were all pretty convinced that J.J. Stokes was going to be like the next Jerry Rice. It just didn't happen.
Yeah,
it just didn't happen.
He didn't.
Also, Dan asked to share that great video of Mullen, in the new uniforms. So while we can't do that, I did decide to put together this nice little side by side for everyone.
So, okay, that picture on the right, 2011, right? They send us this jersey, and when I take it out of the box, I'm like, oh my God, it was so narrow. I was like, it was the most narrow jersey I've ever seen. And Radnich goes, look at that thing. That looks like a little kid's jersey. And sure enough, it said small on it. And I was like, oh my God. I go, Gary, I gotta put this bad boy on. And sure enough, I put it on, and you can't see the rest of the picture, but he's sitting off my right shoulder there, laughing his ass off. And I took the picture. And that picture is in the studio at KMBR. Anytime I said anybody was in bad shape, somebody would send me that picture. I've heard people say, you know what, that looks like sausage casing around you. I mean, it's just, that one's going to live forever. In fact, I'll be dead and buried. And that picture will still be connected to me. In fact, if you Google my name, there's probably like one other picture, and then that.
This is like the second one.
Sad.
That's 13.
Jim Molay donates $20. Jimmy says, me rolling into the Byline station on Broadway with Eddie G, our old fraternity brother, at 2:38 in the morning. And there's Krueger in studio with a bottle of Jack Daniels and a microphone in front of him, spitting insane knowledge. Always blew me away. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
let me see that picture of you and the Warriors again.
Okay. Well, one sec.
What did they say that you looked like? You had what?
They said it looked like sausage casing. And thanks to Tony Casera and the good.
The wrong one.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were.
Sausage.
You gotta go with Mike D'Ambrosio with the fresh in, fresh out.
I don't have that one.
Fresh in, fresh out. Brian Lucana says, here's $5. Is really enjoying this trip down memory lane. Thank you, Brian. I don't know if anybody else is, but it's story time with Larry tonight.
Was San Francisco, incredible history, was just a great place to go there, to visit, to roam around. Now it's just sad what's happened to the city. It really is.
But also, like, if you go back a little bit more, it's a lot of prostitution,
Well, I mean, okay, the city has evolved. The city used to be a lot tougher than it is now. I mean, it used to be a lot rougher. There were, if you, were in the Western Addition, or you were in, Visitation Valley, you were in Hunters Point, you were in certain areas of the city. There were areas that were more dangerous than they are today. That's for sure. But now today,
Hunters Point, Candlestick Park.
yeah, but I mean, I grew up. I mean, my parents lived in Visitation Valley. My grandmother lived her entire life in Visitation Valley, and that was kind of a tough neighborhood for a while. And the Western Addition was pretty tough there for a while. There were a lot of empty blocks. Now it's all developed for the most part. Now the city is safer than it used to be. But as far as it's safer, but it's dirtier. And now it's more random. Now it's more likely you're going to have some random drug freak come up to you, or you're going to, there's all kinds of people with fentanyl and there's all kinds of issues with drugs, and it's dirty, and there's human feces on the sidewalk, and there's people laying in doorways, and it's sad. I mean, it really is sad, but it might be a little safer, but it's a little bit more random, and it's become very violent. It's becoming very dirty, I should say. It's not as violent as it used to be, but it's dirtier.
Yeah, I kind of like it's one of those things where it's almost like if they're like San Francisco's like a sibling. Like, I feel like it's cool when we rag on it. We can all acknowledge the human feces and the grossness and the homeless and the crime and all that kind of stuff, but still,
it's just overcrowded too. It's overcrowded.
Overcrowded, but I don't like. It's still, for some reason, when I hear like national people, like because the Bay Area has never been
Mike Florio or one of these jackasses who basically were here, only walked from the Moscone Center to their hotel. Basically walked down Market Street to Mission Street to Howard, went to the convention center, and that was it. And they've walked 2.5 blocks of San Francisco, and they're swearing off Northern California as a shithole and a dump. It's like, you know what? I can find a 2 or 3 block dump in every major city in America. It doesn't mean that's defining. I mean, Chicago is one of the great cities in America. There's all kinds of 3 block sequences that you don't want to walk down. Right. New York's one of the greatest cities in America, in the world. I guarantee you I can find a 3 block radius that you're not going to be happy with. Same in Philly, same in Boston, same in DC, same in LA, same in almost any major city. You cannot judge a city based on, 2 days or a week where you only walked 4 blocks. Yeah, I read that article about when Florio came out here and he just panned San Francisco. They'll never get a Super Bowl again. They don't deserve one. It's super dirty. It's super gross. It's all kinds of drugs, and it's like, dude, I mean, you walked from, Mission and, Howard to, basically like the Moscone Center is right there in the middle of downtown, and his hotel was he probably stayed at the Marriott. He probably walked 3 blocks downtown south of Market and decided the entire place was a shithole. I mean, come on, you got to have, you have to understand that, that the cities are more than a 3 block radius.
Yeah.
So the Florio, that whole article panning San Francisco was, come on, man. I mean, there's a million great things to do in San Francisco. There's a million great things to do in Northern California. It's got its issues. Don't get me wrong, but you can't pan it just because you didn't stay in the right block.
It's interesting though, also because this has to be the most like powerful in terms of like in the zeitgeist. Like this area has been, because of all the tech. It used to always be people would be complaining about New York, and like when they talk about like the coastal elites and all that kind of stuff. But now it's like, and then there's always Hollywood, but like Silicon Valley, it's like now all of a sudden like San Francisco is like it's a thing to be disliked or made into whatever, and from a distance. And
favorite song, Val Ramos says, "Left My Heart in San Francisco." Yeah,
Brian was saying I grew up in the slums of Saratoga. How'd you make it out? It's amazing that you're still alive today.
Hey, speaking of just kind of different I've been seeing a lot on Twitter. What the heck is going on with the Javante Murray? What is it in this Drew League? He acts like he's king of basketball because Javante Murray of the Hawks. He's with the Hawks now, right? Didn't the Spurs trade him?
DeJounte with a D?
Yeah, Javante. Yeah.
D.
Yeah.
DeJounte.
I was like,
I thought you said Javante.
No,
I know you're talking about the Denver running back.
No, the guy.
Yeah, DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, he did something with Banchero and in the Drew League, and he's like firing the ball off him, and I'm seeing all these videos of him just kind of like going off on people. What I mean,
don't know.
He's talking smack about Banchero.
Atlanta has to have the sassiest backcourt in the league now. I'll tell you what.
Atlanta better start firing, man, because they've been serious underachievers the last few years.
I mean,
Jay Stamps 101 says I still love hanging out on Hate Street. The hate's interesting for sure. I'll tell you what you see now in the hate is just all kinds of like, young people hanging out on the corners with their pit bulls. I mean, you just see these pit bulls battling each other on the corners in the hate. And you're like, what the hell's going on here? It'd be like 20 people sitting around, a couple pit bulls like battling it out on a corner. Have you guys seen that?
I was like 8 or 9, and my aunt, we were driving around. We were going down Polk Street. She said, "Cover your eyes, Danny. Cover your eyes."
Down Polk Street?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the pit bulls. But I mean, I haven't been in the city. I'll say this. I lived in LA. I just came from LA. I mean, LA is a shithole. So I still think we're winning in comparison to LA.
One of the first jobs I ever had was working for Park and Rec as a summertime trash picker upper at Yerba Buena Park.
What?
Yeah, in the hate. And I'll say this. I saw things that I can't unsee. I mean, it was terrible. I seriously was scarred. I was like 13 years old picking up garbage in this park. And
so when you hear Larry,
I grew up fast that summer. Let's just say
that.
Him
going off on Farhan or Gabe, it's just PTSD.
Exactly. I blame my job working at I think Yerba Buena Park or something like that. It was a nightmare job.
So many gallons of coconut oil off the ground. It's just
God, just terrible, just absolutely terrible.
Getting back to the Giants and Gabe, it's a good game.
Buena Vista Park, there it is. Buena Vista Park. Clarence Beeks, bad knowledge. Yeah, Buena Vista Park, scarring the things that I saw at Buena Vista Park.
Hey, I was walking down Clayton Road one day.
Clayton Road might as well be that might as well be Blackhawk compared to Buena Vista Park.
But this was in 1977. We're freshmen in high school, and we're walking to the bowling alley. We got about a mile to walk, and it's nighttime, and there's 4 of us. And some guy pulled the worst prank on it. He jumped out of the car and put a gun to us. And
that's real funny.
Yeah, real funny. I mean, we were just like, put a brick in my pants. It was unbelievable. I was just it was unbelievable. We thought I thought we were dead. And then the guy started going, today you do that, man? You can get away. That guy be put away for doing something like that, pulling a gun out. It was just
a loaded gun. Just some random guy pulled a gun on you.
I have no idea if it was
a neighborhood lunatic.
It was just. Hey, we grew up. When I grew up as a kid, do you remember the Zodiac
Killer?
Yeah,
in the movie.
Oh, geez, that was going on in the Bay Area. The Zodiac.
Yeah, I never got to live through any great.
I was like, Larry,
there were a number of serial killers. There was the Richard Ramirez guy. You used to listen
down in L.A.
AC/DC, used to listen to Night Prowler, and
he escaped.
Charles Ng, lived over by West Portal.
Yeah, where are all these serial killers going? Because are they just? I mean, are they becoming school shooters, or I don't know? Because they're not out today. They don't seem to be out.
They probably are out today. They're just not caught. That'd be my
I
guess.
just feel like there's so much information. A Dahmer could not have pulled off heads in the fridge in the iPhone age. Just couldn't happen.
Clarence Speaks as the zebra killings. There was somebody out, and there was some documentary about some guy who killed a bunch of women in the East Bay. That was a terrible thing too. I forget what his moniker was, but that was in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s.
I was down in Southern California.
Spencer Stewart said Richard Ramirez died in prison.
Yeah, that dude was scary because he was. I was just like a few miles from, maybe 7 miles from that prison, and it was like, oh man, he's out. No one knows where he's going, and everybody's on the news. Make sure you lock your windows. He comes through windows and open doors, and just. It's like, oh,
YouTube
man.
expert says, LOL, hating on the hate. I don't think anybody's hating on the hate. Hey, one of my favorite restaurants, Cha Cha Cha, we used to go to in the hate. We used to go to Kezar Pavilion and see the games, and then hit Zona Rosa. I think one of the great burrito places right there in the city is right there in the hate. So there's some good places in the hate for sure.
So what's your best kind of chain hamburger you like? There's several hamburgers.
I like Nations. I think Nations is pretty damn good.
I like Red Robin's Bonsai Burger.
It's
got a piece of pineapple on it. And
Andrew Thompson says Cha Cha Cha's closed. Yeah, I hadn't been there in a long time.
Dan,
so that's not a surprise.
Dan, are you a big Habit guy? Do you like the Habit?
I've been there. I'll tell you, you know
those,
what's not bad?
Yeah.
The Habit's not bad, but the Counter is pretty damn good. Have you guys been to the Counter?
It is, but specifically for Dan,
it's expensive.
Dan enjoys the pineapple teriyaki situation.
Yes, I love the
They have that. They have a delicious version of that at the Habit, I must say.
I think I've had that. I've had that at the Habit.
The burger from the Counter. If you get the burger from the Counter and then you get the pretzel bun. Have you guys ever had a pretzel bun?
A pretzel bun's delightful.
Pretzel bun, and then go with the fried onion strings on top. But Nations,
are you an In-N-Out guy or
I don't like Five Guys. I'm not a Five Guys. Five Guys is call it Four Guys minus Krueger, because I can't go to Five Guys. Five Guys a little too salty for me.
I love that they have peanuts too. Is the one like.
Five Guys
paying for an expensive burger and expensive fries, but they do hook the fries. Like they basically pour the entire thing into like a small bag.
Did
I ever tell you when
the fries because they're so fresh? I watch.
We went on vacation in Southern Cal, and my littlest guy was like, he's like, it was a long ride, and we're like, we'll let you pick where we go to dinner, right? And we were in Redondo Beach, and he's like, I want to go to Fat Burger. Now, so we went to Fat Burger. It was the worst burger I think I've ever had. It was like so salty, so overdone, so bad. It was like easily the worst. But Whataburger in Texas is real popular. Have you ever been I don't know if you've ever been to Texas as far as Whataburger.
Oh yeah, Whataburger. We have those here in Arizona. Graves knows that. Graves knows about Whataburger.
We actually debated it one time with some of the players in camp. Do you like Whataburger or In-N-Out? And it's funny, if you're from Texas, they're loyal to Whataburger. But if you're a Cal guy, California guy, you're like, hey, it's In-N-Out all day, every day. Yeah, I'll say Nations is pretty damn good because Nations is good for breakfast. Nations is Nations burgers are pretty damn good. They also have the pies and the fries. I mean, it's pretty, they've got the limited menu, but Nations is good. There's one in Orinda.
Yeah. There's one in Moraga. That was like the classic, like after or like high school, we weren't allowed to go lunch off campus, but we still would go to Nations.
Mark Hope says, oh my fucking God, Fat Burger's amazing. Oh, I'm not the one in Redondo, man. The one in Redondo is just totally terrible. And it was expensive as hell. Oh, by the way, my relatives live in Chicago. White Castle burgers are like death. Have you ever had White Castle burgers?
I've never. Yeah.
You've heard the Beastie Boys song, White Castle burgers only come in one size?
They freeze them.
It's like they paint the burgers on. I mean, it's like seriously, it's like a sauce that hardens. And if you go have a big night drinking in Chicago and then you hit a White Castle, you will feel the next day like death warmed over. I mean, it will sit in you like a stone. It's awful. White Castle. I'd rather, I mean, you know, they're little burgers and they have onions in them and stuff. But I mean, they're okay if you get it, if it's super hot, but man, you'll feel terrible the next day. White Castle sucks.
What are your guys' thoughts on Shake Shack? I'm not actually the biggest fan. It's fine, but like for how much you're paying, I'd still would rather have an In-N-Out burger or even
my favorite burger. One of them in Walnut Creek. There, have you been to the Burger Lounge, Larry?
Yeah, I've been to Burger Lounge. I have.
Corner of Nasho and Oak Grove, I think.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah,
we went there once.
It's a grass-fed burger. I like grass-fed beef because it's healthier.
You guys know what flame broiled means?
Yeah, it's instead of cooking it on a grill, they cook it on like a barbecue. It's almost like a barbecued burger.
Have it your way.
Burger. Okay.
I mean, if I gotta go fast food burger, I mean, I'm not talking about Nations or
You're talking McDonald's, Burger King,
McDonald's, Jack in the Box. I'm going Burger King.
You're going with that
all day,
Whopper,
every day.
flame broiled Whopper.
I mean, I don't like all that stuff on there, but I'd rather have a flame broiled
it kills
Burger King burger over Jack in the Box or McDonald's.
Yeah, because you can taste more of the barbecue over the, then you don't have to eat that. Let's just be honest. We call beef ass those fast food burgers. I mean, if you knew what was in that McDonald's stuff, I mean, you wouldn't eat it.
DJ Venus says, I had White Castle in Vegas. Bad idea. Yeah. Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
You get White Castle.
Shante says White Castle is no bueno. Yeah, seriously.
You can
White
get
Castle.
that in at the grocery store in the freezer section. In the box, they give you 8 of those White Castle burgers.
Otis B says Nations and Daly City is still going strong. That's good to hear. We used to in high school there was a Burger King in Westlake, and I don't know why we thought this was so funny, but I drove a Chevy Nova, and we'd flip a coin. One of my buddies, whoever lost the coin flip, would have to ride to Burger King in the trunk. In the trunk of the car, and then
you were driving
in the drive-through, they would pop out like right at the last, as right as there was like 3 cars behind us, we'd open up the trunk and let the guy out. The looks that people would give us, it was just priceless,
Be careful, Rye. Be careful when you get your next ride down to 49er camp with Larry.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
you're dealing with a dictator.
I think it's just whatever you had the most as a young kid is like your choice. Because I never really had McDonald's, so I don't really get McDonald's. But I love me some J-Bo. Jack in the Box.
J-Bo, like J-Lo. Now we have J-Bo.
J-Bo. We used to call it 5-star back in the day because when we were like 11, we'd get done with middle school and be like, "You guys want to go have some 5-star dining?" We go.
What again? Remind me. What is animal style on the fries?
It's just cheese, and then they're like Thousand Island dressing deal and some
it looks terrible.
I smash it all the time. I also
always go animal style.
I always get chilies on them too, the spicy chilies.
There's some kind of burger they serve. It's not on their menu, and I used to get it. I can't remember what it's called.
Kyle says McRib. The McRib is disgusting.
Yeah.
My God, that was disgusting. I'd rather have Danny's Completes than the McRib.
Have you guys
how about, what I grew up right behind? Casper's hot dogs. You ever have Casper's hot dogs?
Somebody said Beeps Burgers. There used to be a Beeps on Ocean Ave. And there was Beeps on 3rd Street too.
You guys
I love Casper's dogs because they had a little crunch when you bit into the hot dog.
What are we looking at here?
This is the Santa Barbara style char burger at Habit. It's delicious.
Which one?
Sourdough bread. All of them. It's like
there's a bunch of Habits in Walnut Creek now.
Habit.
You know what they need? I'll tell you what they don't have enough of. There's not enough Chick-fil-A.
Oh yeah, there's the
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A over there by the 680. It's
The
packed.
line for Chick-fil-A. It's like,
ridiculous.
you got to be kidding me. What's going on here? I mean, is there gold bullion in the sandwich? I mean, what exactly is going on with the Chick-fil-A?
That 24-hour fitness never has parking in the actual spots for the 24-hour fitness either. So it's just a freaking shit show trying to get in and out.
There was a place that Guy Fieri highlighted on one of his shows. And if you're from SAC, you've heard of this. It's called The Squeeze. And it's this burger place in SAC. It was like the greasiest burger. And they were made in this hut. And I swear you could smell the grease when you walked in. It was so foul.
Is it a pizza hut?
It was, and people, the big burger there was the squeeze with cheese. And they would burn the cheese like on the grill. So you could have like that kind of like hardened, burnt cheese.
Okay.
And then, it was like the most, it was like basically just like a couple of these burgers and you're going to have a coronary. I mean, just a major artery clog. The squeeze. Anybody from SAC who has ever heard of the squeeze with cheese? Oh man, it was a disaster.
Ring out any burger you ring out. No thanks.
It was a great burger place. I don't know if it exists anymore, but when I was going to Sac State, it was a great spot. It was called Flaky Jake's.
You
heard of Flaky Jake's?
You used to go in San Bernardino. Flaky Jake's. There was
Flaky
fun.
Jake's, man.
Oh,
Flaky Jake's was damn good. You make your everything. I had this gigantic like bar, like almost like, I don't want to say a salad bar, but it was like you kind of put any topping you wanted on there. It's kind of like Fuddruckers.
Yeah, kind of like Fuddruckers.
But like a better version of Fuddruckers.
Yeah, Flaky Jake's was great. Their bun was so good.
Yeah, Flaky Jake's was good. Flaky Jake's for sure.
Yeah. No, that's
someone said Beeps Burgers in Danville. I know there was a Beeps
let's
Burger.
shout out to Danville Little League 13-year-olds last night beat South Korea.
We played them this year. My son's team, we played them and they smoked us. They were really, really good. The coach was a nut. I mean, I don't know if it's the same, if he's the only coach, but man, the coach was just ridiculous. He was like so intense. This guy was like calling out, like, I mean, seriously, it's a baseball game. He was calling out, like you would thought he was like an offensive coordinator in the NFL. He was like 87, 62. And I'm like, what the heck? It all meant something. And he had all these kinds. It was the most ridiculous thing.
That's how Campo football is like actually just so surprisingly good. Is like literally when we play like the Lafayette Middle School Stanley, we're all out there dicking around like, playing flag football, like JM or Joaquin Moraga flag football. The Stanley, the Lafayette Middle School, they literally have a fully laminated, like 130-page playbook that they all have memorized, and the players are and the coaches are freaking so like aggressive and real about it. And like the Moraga Rinda Lafayette Flag Football League is like the biggest flag football league in the country, I believe.
Val Ramos says, by the way, 7-Eleven hot dogs with cheese and chili.
Oh, you put the chili cheese on there, you could sneak an extra dog.
Val. I mean, you're going 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven, really?
Once I turned 25, I could no longer do the 7-Eleven stuff. But before then,
I'll go Big Gulp. That's about it.
In my 20s,
that stuff that's on the spinner. I mean, forget it. Come on, man. I mean, seriously.
In my mid-20s, I lived down the street from an AM PM, and I was in sales. And I'm just getting going. I'm in my 20s. They had 3 hot dogs for 99 cents back then in the 80s.
Right.
It's like that was my meal every day. I was like, I can't even now. No wonder I have like digestive issues eating all that crap.
Where are you guys on In-N-Out? Do you guys? Because my kid always wants to go to In-N-Out.
I love In-N-Out.
I try to always get him to go to like Subway or something. He's always like, "Oh, let's go In-N-Out."
I was indoctrinated into In-N-Out kind of against my will. I was forced into it. And then I was kind of like, is this even that good? It's kind of overhyped. And then I did a full 360. And for the past like 6 years, it's my favorite burger. I think.
What do you get? Do you get a double, or do you?
Yeah, you just keep it simple. It's cheap. You know exactly what you're getting every time. I get usually 2 double doubles.
2.
Oh yeah,
2 double doubles.
Oh, at least. And
You're
then
a beast.
You get grilled onions with it.
Oh yeah, and animal fries, and then well, I don't do shakes anymore. I can't because I'll gain too much weight. But
that's where you draw the
two
line.
double
You're going to
doubles.
go 2 double doubles and say no to the shake?
well, see, this is when
That's like-
Go
that's
one
like-
double and get a shake.
You know, one time I was working at when I was in high school, I was working at Bodine's. Remember, you ever heard of Bodine's? They make the sandwiches. And this gigantic woman came in one day and she's like ordered all the stuff and a big piece of chocolate cake. And then she's like, and a Diet Coke. And I kind of started to laugh. I started to laugh. And she's like, I said, Coke? And she said, oh, Diet Coke. And I was kind of being a smart ass. So I said it again. I go, Coke? And she's like, no, Diet Coke. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I started to laugh, and then she got mad at my manager, and I think I got suspended.
Yeah, it might have been for someone else, Larry.
I was not a nice young kid. I really wasn't. I was kind of. I know it's hard to believe because I'm such a nice person now, but I was a little bit of a smartass. I know that's hard. I know that's hard for you guys to
I'll
believe.
take 3 large fries.
No, seriously, it was like I'll have an extra side of mayo, and I want a cookie and a piece of chocolate cake and a Diet Coke. I'm like, a Coke? No, Diet Coke. Coke? Diet Coke. Okay, no problem. And all of a sudden she's like, excuse me, that guy right there was making fun of me. Come on, man. It's a summer job. It's a summer job.
I got a cop.
I was like 14.
I got to cop to something because everybody's like, oh, Ryan, you're beast that. That's like that's like 3 years ago, probably after I was turned like 24. And then all of a sudden the weight started catching up to me. And it was like I was like, wait, I have to eat like an adult sort of. That's when I changed. I still was doing the double doubles, but this is a total man card, but I changed to the protein style, the no.
Oh, with the lettuce,
lettuce wrap.
Yeah,
my wife still does that. She goes lettuce wrap.
I've done that sometimes.
2 3x3s lettuce wrapped. And then,
I mean, if you get a good piece of lettuce, like it has to be the right piece of iceberg lettuce.
If you have enough meat and cheese in the middle,
it's good, but you can't have wilted lettuce.
No,
Mike Vaz says the squeeze in is where the squeeze with cheese was made. Squeeze burger and sack.
Was that your first job, your summer job that you were talking about? Was that your first?
First, no. I worked. I seriously worked like from like 7th grade on. I mean, I always had some kind of job. I worked at an ice cream parlor one time. I babysat this kid for a while after football practice. These 2 cops had this little kid and they asked me if I'd babysit for them. So I mean, I'd go to school, I'd go to football practice, and then I'd take a shower and go over to these people's house and like do my homework there and watch this kid for like an hour. Then he'd fall asleep. Yeah, it was. Man. I did every job there was. Man, I did tons.
I worked at Barney's Hickory Pit and cleaned the tables and the grills after they closed. Cleaned the whole restaurant, and they used to clean the grill. They had ribs and everything on it. They used pickle juice, and we have this scrubber, and then scrub the grill, get it all clean, get all the black stuff off of it. But then I had another job at the county of Contra Costa County for 2 or 3 summers. I was the pool inspector.
Pool inspector?
I went to all the apartments in Contra Costa.
I had all kinds of jobs. I used to fill Coke machines and soda machines, candy machines. A buddy of mine had a business, so I used to drive around town and fill up the machines. SG Sports Talk Channel says, Larry, you were the class comic. All right, you guys want to hear how I got suspended in high school as a senior? So goodness. I'm taking this class. It was civics, right? And we had this total jackass teacher, and it was like the first day, and he's trying, and I always had a bad attitude. I know it's hard to believe, but I had a bad attitude. So I'm sitting in the back of senior year civics, And there's so many kiss asses that are just like laughing at every joke the teacher tells, right? And so the teacher comes out, and he's a total jerk off. And the teacher comes out, and he's like, yeah, hey, it's customary for the 7th period class. He's like, he goes, oh, I just got married or something like that, and it's customary for the 7th period class to buy gifts for the husband. And all these guys start laughing. Like, and I'm like, what a jackass. I'm like sitting in the back row, and I'm like, what a total jackass. Then the guy doubles down, and he goes, oh, my wife's pregnant, and it's customary for the 7th period class to buy gifts for the baby's father. And I'm sitting in the back of the room. I think you guys can know what's coming next. So I say to the people around me, yeah, who's the baby's father? And everybody around me goes, ooh, ooh. And now the teacher knows what he just said, and he's not a total fool. He was a total fool, but he knew he left his shit dangling, right? And so all of a sudden, all these guys around me, ooh, and now people are turning around and they're looking at me. And the teacher's like, that's it. What was said? He like sprints towards the back of the room. And he's like, that's it. We're not going on until somebody tells me, what was said, and somebody owns it. Right. And everybody's looking right at me. So I go, hey, it was me. And he goes, what'd you say? And I just said, who was the baby's father? And he's like, get out of here. You're suspended. Don't come back. Get out of here. You're, not suspended, but you've got detention. And oh my God. And like I went to go talk to him about it. He's like poking me in the chest with his finger. And I'm just, at one point I kind of grabbed the finger. Now I got the guy's finger in my hand like this. And he's like, now he's got this look on his face like, oh no, it's like, dude.
I fingered Larry.
I've got a finger in this guy's chest. He's now grabbed my finger. I mean, I literally could have broke his finger right off. And I'm holding the finger right there. And I'm like looking at him. He's like, let go. It's classic, man. You had to be there.
Was this at the Catholic high school?
High school. Yep. Yeah.
Oh man. Did you get busted by the police?
Oh yeah, I got sent down to go talk to Brother Draper, Father Gilligan, and all those guys. Sir, it's come to my attention that you kind of have a bad attitude. I'm like, kinda. I started laughing.
Man, that's hilarious.
Like,
so
well,
you, I got voted.
This teacher hated me. I hated him too. I kind of still hate him to this day. If I saw the guy, I'd probably say something.
Senior year because I had already got pretty much all my required stuff out of the way. So last semester, my first 2 periods, I was a teacher's aide for Mr. Griswold, and he didn't care if I ever showed up. So I didn't show up. And I got an A and everything, but my first class was like 10:45 in the morning or 11, something like that. So we had 2 periods, and then we had a break, and then 3rd period, and then it was like lunch. So I didn't show up for the whole year, and then and that year I had my '65 Mustang. I messed up the Mustang. I was going over to girl's house one night, and I was looking for her house, and
is that what you're calling it?
Yeah, I'm driving, and I'm looking over my shoulder. I think it's that one, and I'm like, bam, smashed it right into a parked car on the side, and it's like, so my car, the whole fender came off, and my dad was like, you're not driving until you figure out how to fix it, So we had auto body, had an auto shop in my school, so I happened to have that class. So I had to get some guy, I didn't know what to do, bought a fender, and then the guy sanded it, painted it, and then he put it back on, and it was just, but what a mess.
Jim Ole says, still love the pasty shack when I'm in Sac. Oh, man. If you're in Sac and you're on J Street by Club Toomey, you got to hit the pasty shack. Oh, my God. The pasty shack is tremendous. Tremendous place in Sac for sure. Jimmy, good call. I'll tell you a story. When I was a teenager, I somehow got mad at my parents. I'm leaving the house and I'm backing my car out of the driveway. Well, my dad's car is in the driveway kind of hanging over. And I bumped the back light, and it made a hole. It broke the plastic on the turn signal in the back, and I didn't notice it because it was only like a quarter size hole, and it just went straight through. It didn't like dent the car. It was just like made it literally like a quarter or silver dollar size hole. But the car was parked, the lights weren't on, so I couldn't really tell. Okay, so my parents are going out to a party that night. So they go to a party and my dad has the car valeted. He valets the car. Well, when he goes and picks up the car, he sees the guy pulls it around. He can see that there's a hole in the back light. He's like, hey, no. So he goes, hey man, that wasn't there before. And they're like, "Oh, we're so sorry, sir. I'm not sure how that happened, and we I don't know why we." So my dad is telling the story like about a week later. He's like, "Yeah, we went to this party, and it was the Flying Dutchman. They were the parked cars guy, the valet guys, and the Flying Dutchman put a hole in my thing, and so I complained, and they sure enough they paid for it, and this and that, and it was like this is like weeks later, and I'm like, is that on the back? Was it on the back right, Dad? He's like, yeah, it was on the back right. I'm like, oh, Dad, you know what? I backed out into that night, and I forgot to tell you. I left. I saw the little hole, but I left. I didn't realize that I'd made that hole. And he's like, "Oh my God!" I complained to the Flying Dutchman. I filed a report. I had them pay for it, the whole deal. And I'm like, "Oh," he's like, Then, needless to say, I got the I'm not happy. I'm swearing at you, but. You know what? Don't worry about it. But still, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. SG Sports Talk Channel. Larry, you were the class comic. I don't know about that, though. I was more of a smart ass. But I'll tell you, if you were a smart ass, being a smart ass is one of the things you absolutely need to have if you're going to be a good sports talk show host. I don't know that I know any good sports talk show host that wasn't somewhat quick. Spider 8 says Larry, first job was in a coal mine in Daly City at 5 years old. Had to make that Matchbox car money. yeah, right. Yeah, I was working in the coal mines.
What position did you play in football?
I wasn't very good. I started off as a quarterback, and then went from quarterback to tight end. I wore number 82. Then I played defensive end. I like defensive end the most. I played probably the most of my football played defensive end.
Did you like hitting or getting hit better?
Oh, definitely. Well, I like defense better. I definitely like defense better. It was, because you basically just had to contain the run, get upfield. It was, I'll say this. I loved football, but I hated practice. Football practice in high school sucks. Most teams run the ball. Right. Practice was just drudgery. Yeah, it was like, burpees and conditioning and it just sucked. I like basketball definitely more than football.
Yeah. Basketball was definitely much fun. I enjoyed basketball practice actually, because you're always moving and running and stuff. But baseball was okay, but football was drudgery, man. Especially the first 2 weeks. Gosh, I hated 2 a days.
Oh, here we go. Spencer Stewart, SI Cherries. They hate us because they ain't us. All right, Spencer. You always got to face the cherry talk. Always got to face the cherry talk. SG Sports Talk Channel. Larry, that was a hilarious story. I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
So what do we got this week going? We've got the Giants tomorrow and Wednesday, and then we got the Niners on Friday, right?
How much do you think Trey Lance plays Friday?
I would, I don't know how much he'd play, but I think he needs to play close to the first half just to get some, he hasn't had any game experience since 2019, except for those 2 games last year. I mean, do you do the normal 2-3 series of a, first game of your starting quarterback for a guy that really has only played 2 professional games and missed all of 2020?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, there's been so much talk about Trey and this and that. Nothing really matters in camp. I mean, it's too, and I've seen guys who are great in practice and terrible in the games. Ultimately, it's just going to come down to, how well does Trey move the football team? I think Trey is going to be really, really good, but I understand the people who are concerned about his completion percentage. I don't know that he's going to be as efficient as Garoppolo or some other quarterbacks, but I think he's going to have big playability, both with his legs and his arm. I think you'll see big plays.
I agree. I think you'll see some big plays, and I think they'll be somewhat conservative for the first 8-10 games, and then I think after the 10th week, you might see a completely different 49er team, offensively.
He's just got to limit the doy plays. I mean, there's going to be
What was that?
The doy plays, like doy, like what? Like what
is that? Is that a mute, Larry? I feel a mute coming.
I
kind of feel a mute coming. That was kind of like my.
I mean, I hate to mute a guy who still has COVID. I mean, it could be the COVID, Danny. It could be the COVID.
He walks away. I can't remember.
Andrew Thompson says Jimmy G plays the first quarter at most. All right, we'll unmute Rye because he probably has COVID and still has COVID. Plus, I gotta be nice to Rye until I get my credential. He's got a credential. I don't have my credential yet. I might have to use him to get in. Yeah, I'm with him. Excuse me.
Oh man, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But there's so much to happen after this first week. It'll be interesting to see if any quarterbacks go down. If any starting quarterbacks go down, and Jimmy ends up at a place we haven't even thought about. What happens if he's...
By the way, we were talking before about restaurants. I just see my buddy Jim Millay in here says, he said to at Peter Zimmer, who's in the chat as well, he says, Club 33 at Disneyland. We went to Disneyland sometime in the last year we went. And there's a restaurant that's in Tahoe. There's only 3 of them. There's one in Tahoe, one in Boston, one in Anaheim in downtown Disney.
Worth a pause.
I'm with the guy in the trunk, Mark Graves.
The kid with the credentials in the trunk.
I'm telling you, man, when the guy popped out of the trunk, the look on the people's faces in Westlake was classic. It's funny. We used to drive by Lowell High School, and there'd be a bunch of people standing outside and be like, "Hey, congratulations on the SAT!" Because it was this incredible academic school. We'd roll by, but there was a restaurant in Anaheim. It's also in Boston. There's one in Tahoe. It's called Fire and Ice. Have you guys ever heard of Fire and Ice?
Is this a Game of Thrones themed?
No, but it's this incredible place. It's like you pick what you want to eat, and it's all like fresh, chicken, steak, whatever, and then like vegetables, and then they put it on it's kind of like a hibachi, kind of a thing where they cook it on like a gigantic circular flat top.
Okay.
And then you can put whatever kind of sauces you tell them what kind of sauces you want. And they pour it on there. They cook it like for you. And then it's all basically you pay all. It's like an all you can eat place. It's called Fire and Ice.
I'm looking at pictures.
Awesome. Benji says Fire and Ice. Yeah. Fire and Ice. There it is. Really. There it is. Like you see up here in the top right. Yeah, see how there's like a bunch of people standing around that circle.
I've been to a similar type of place here in Arizona.
Love that place. Love that place.
Delicious.
Fire and ice. Seriously, the food was just incredible.
Whoa, you can get a burger?
It's like Mongolian barbecue type concept.
Whoa. Damn.
Yeah, how do you
This
get
is
rid
like
of
the-
those?
Is this like the G League for or no, other way around?
SG Sports Talk Channel says Fire and Ice reminds me of Benihana. Yeah, it's kind of like a Benihana. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, you know what's a really sweet place? We took my kid there with all of his friends for his birthday. Have you heard of Kobe, Japan in Pleasant Hill?
No.
It's like Benihana, but it's better. Even the quality is a little bit better. And Benihana, do you guys like Benihana at all?
I'm a
Yeah.
fan.
I like it.
I like it too. But this is even better. It's a better version of Benihana. If you're ever in Pleasant Hill, check out Kobe, Japan.
That's interesting.
It's not cheap. I'll say that. It's not cheap. It's a little on the pricier side for sure. Probably set us back a little bit. But you know what? It was my kid's birthday, and he had like 3 or 4 of his buddies there, and we took everybody out there, and it was good. It was really
Hey,
good.
a little football talk. What do you think of this, Larry? You're down there. You think he's got Brock Purdy will make the team, or is he the practice squad?
I like Brock Purdy a lot. I think Brock Purdy is going to be good in the NFL. I mean, he's smallish, but man, the ball comes out on time. On the practice field, he plays with a ton of poise. You know, it's easy to look at him and say he's Nick Mullins, but then you look at his numbers from Iowa State, and they're pretty damn good. Brock Purdy, I think, beats out Sudfeld. I know Sudfeld's got good numbers in camp, but Purdy, to me, the ball comes out on time. Doesn't come out early, doesn't come out late. He's pretty damn accurate. And then you go back to Iowa State and you realize, man, this kid plays with kind of like a linebacker-like mentality. He's a tough kid, and he's smart, and he's competitive. He threw for like 12,000 yards. He's got a great touchdown-interception ratio. He's got a bigger arm than Mullins, but I just like how accurate he is. And to me, when I'm watching him on the practice field, there's a tempo. He plays with a great tempo. So now he's not going to wow you when you see him. You're going to be like, he looks like
really
Nick
think
Mullins.
he beats
But
out
he's got
Sudfeld though? Because if he beats out Sudfeld, and you put Sudfeld out there, he's likely to get claimed and not get onto the practice squad, right?
Well, I'm not saying that they're going to go with two quarterbacks. They may go with 3, but I'd be shocked if Purdy doesn't beat out Sudfeld. I know Sudfeld's 6'6", and in practice he looks pretty good, but he's capped and checked down. He doesn't have a big arm, doesn't have mobility, doesn't have the collegiate success that this kid had. So I like Brock Purdy to beat out Sudfeld. And I think, I would not be shocked if Purdy starts a game for them this year and they win that game. I think there's a lot to like about Brock Purdy. There really is. He's no slouch by any stretch. He's Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft, and so on and so forth. And he's not. You're going to find guys with more stature, but man, you can kind of tell this kid's got a little something special. Man, he's confident. His footwork's clean. His motion is there's not a lot of wasted motion there. He knows where he's going with the ball. What I really like about him is I've seen him on the dead run throw absolute strikes. And if you can, you're going to get flushed in the NFL. You're going to get forced out of the pocket. If you can throw accurately on the run in the NFL, you can make a lot of money, man. I like what I see from Purdy.
So do you think Banks and Burford hold down the guard spots in the first team?
Yeah, I do. I'm a little bit more confident. I'm more confident in Burford than Banks, because Banks, I got to see it, but Burford is really a nice looking prospect.
Yeah, he looks like he's quick and he's strong, isn't he?
The one key when you're looking at O-linemen, if they look good in the uniform, they're probably not good players. If they look bad in the uniform, that's usually when you get a good player. And if you look at Burford, he looks bad in the uniform. I mean, he's got, he's just the guys who look bad in the uniform, they're just, because offensive line is not about body beautiful. It's about having tons of power in your lower body. That means you got to be kind of powerful, from the waist down. That means you're probably going to be kind of hipsy. If you're kind of hipsy looking, you don't look very athletic, but I'll tell you, you want an offensive lineman with a lean, contoured body. No, you want a bad-bodied guy with long arms who likes to fight. And I love that kid. I love what I've seen out of Burford. University of Texas San Antonio ran the hell out of the ball. Sincere McCormick was their runner last year, and they ran it and ran it and ran it and ran it. And Burford can play both tackles, both guard spots, but he settled in at right guard, and he looks fantastic. I'm thrilled to that they landed Burford. He looks really, really good. Now, Banks and Kinlaw have been battling in this camp, and I'm eager to see, Banks, what he can do. Because supposedly, according to Trent Williams, he hardened out his body a little bit. He got rid of some of the baby fat. He's added some muscle. He's a lot quicker. He's a lot more sudden. So I'm eager to see what Banks can do. He's getting a major opportunity for sure.
Well, I'm just kind of curious what they end up doing on the offensive line because, with the center position, they've got Brendel and Brunskill. Who wins that job, you think?
Could be.
I would guess Brunskill. Sean Proctor, by the way, says, yo, what's up, Krueg Show? What's going on, Sean? Good to hear from you, brother.
So, I mean, I'm looking at just thinking about their depth chart. I mean, I know they got this free agent guy, Donovan West from ASU. Does he have any shot at all to make the team, or is he a practice squad guy, you think?
It's, once again, I mean, it's like, practice means very little. I mean, I've seen all kinds of guys who look good in practice and can't play dead in the games. And then there's other guys who don't look like anything in practice, and the game starts and suddenly they're blowing people off the ball and they're smoking people on defense and they're just looking great. So I will say this, they gave West $30,000 guaranteed. I think it was the largest amount of money they guaranteed any of the undrafted guys. So they bid on West thinking that, they were trying to keep him from other teams. So I know they like West, but, just because they paid some money to an undrafted player doesn't mean he's going to, he's still got to have to prove it. And it's pretty competitive. But Donovan West is about 310 pounds. He doesn't look like the prototype at all, but, to me, he looks like about 280, 285, but they list him at 310.
He looks like his body type is closer to Jason Poe than it is to a lot of the other.
Jason Poe, though, looks really good. Jason Poe, when he basically sets his feet and fires those hands through, he gives no ground.
Where was Poe? Was he an undrafted free agent? Or
yeah,
was he,
out of Mercer.
Yeah. Okay. So he's he's built. I mean, he's not real tall, but he's like 300 pounds, and he's like 6'1".
And he moves like a fullback. I mean, he's really, really athletic.
Oh, is he the one that they had in that drills was playing fullback and running back?
He was. He's very athletic. He's definitely a great mover.
Yeah, that's right.
Val Ramos says Larry is Purdy better than Sudfeld. In my mind, absolutely. Absolutely, Purdy's better than Sudfeld.
Larry, has he really been showing out the past couple days?
Who, Purdy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wasn't there today because I was doing the show with Guru, so I wasn't at practice. They didn't play today. They didn't have practice today. I was there over the weekend. I just think that when I watch Purdy on the run, he's very accurate. He's got a very clean motion. He stays really poised, total under control, not a lot of wasted movement, seems to play with a lot of poise. And I've seen him throw nothing but strikes. He had the best deep ball Saturday down the sideline. Danny Gray got a step down the sideline on Diamador Lenore, and Purdy just dropped it right in on his hands for maybe the best long ball of the day. So, yeah, Brock Purdy, I would not be surprised if we came out of one of these preseason games and Brock Purdy outplays both Lance and Sudfeld, and people are like, "Hey, what do you think of Brock Purdy? Hey, Brock Purdy. Hey, watch. Brock Purdy's going to play well in the preseason."
So that was the one thing with Purdy that I was a little hung up on, is it just seemed like he couldn't throw deep. But I mean, he's got
more of an arm than you think, but I mean, they don't go deep a lot.
Yeah.
But I do like Purdy. I think there's upside there.
Yeah. It's interesting though, to me, as I look at their depth chart, it seems like maybe the deepest team that Shanahan and Lynch era has had, where you got, usually you can say, okay, these 53 guys are going to be it. Maybe one or two unsuspected guys make the roster, but there's like 5 guys that have a legitimate shot of unseating some guys. Like I look at the backfield, you look at Jordan Mason. I mean, could he knock off Hasty as out of a job, or?
Oh, he will.
You think?
I mean, the Niners do not have a bad back. If I was them, if they get to the end of this camp and everybody's healthy, you may want to trade somebody.
Yeah,
because they all those guys are NFL backs. They got 6 NFL backs for 5 spots.
Right.
What do you think about? It seems like Mitchell's pretty clearly the WR1. Like, that was another thing Trent Williams said in his pressers, that like
RB1. You mean? Yeah, I mean. Mitchell's the guy, but I mean, Sermon looks great. Jeff Wilson's never looked better.
He's the number 2 guy right now.
Mason looks really, really good. I mean, all their backs look tremendous.
How does
Davis Price is explosive? Oh, he's explosive. He's the fastest back they have. He's 225 pounds. Oh, yeah.
And he's their fast back. He's their strongest back too, right? The one that'll
I mean, guys? No, I would say Jeff Wilson and Trey Sermon. Jeff Wilson's in incredible shape. He looks the best I've ever seen him.
Trey Sermon, just like I really want to be in on Trey Sermon, and I just like.
He had a play Saturday where he got to the sideline and he just buried the head and said, "You know what? I'm going upfield." And that's what I love, man, because, I mean, don't run out of bounds, deliver some punishment. And Trey Sermon looks quicker. He looks more decisive. Anthony Lynn said, "Hey, I know you didn't get along well with Bobby Turner last year, but it's, I'm the running back coach now, and you got a fresh start with me." And he said, "I've always been a fan of Trey Sermon." And, Trey Sermon is a rhythm back who had a 300-yard day in college.
That's what I don't understand about, like, because, I mean, is he going to get enough run to show his potential?
I don't know. Maybe not, because, he's a rhythm back that needs to, he's a volume guy. You got to feed him the ball. And I'm not sure if they have enough opportunity for him, but he's an NFL back. You can't cut Trey Sermon. If you cut Trey Sermon, you might as well trade him, because, I mean, there's just, you can't cut him. He's too good of a player to cut.
So do they carry one reserve tackle or 2, you think?
One.
So
3 tackles.
Is that going to be School or is that going to be McKivitz?
Could be Jalen Moore. Could be McKivitz. Probably McKivitz.
No, they keep.
Yeah, I'm saying Jalen Moore or McKivitz. Maybe both.
Maybe both, because Moore can also play guard too, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot's going to depend on how these guys play in the preseason,
How about Nick Zakelj? I mean, that guy had some mean. Is he as mean in camp as he looked in college?
Oh, he definitely is. He likes to hit. He likes to, he's very physical. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if Brendel and right now it's Brendel versus Brunskill. I would not be surprised if Zakelj or Poe got moved to center and was part of that competition.
And Brendel doesn't make the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brunskill is probably best as a backup. Brendel, I don't know if he's going to make it or not. I just like what I've seen out of Zakelj and out of Poe a little bit more than those guys.
Yeah, and Brunskill, though, you can move him to guard. He played there all last year, right? Didn't he start at guard the whole season?
Right, but I mean, he also got ripped. I mean, the Niner offensive line get their ass kicked in the NFC Championship game. That's part of the reason they lost to the Rams.
Right.
Is that they got destroyed up front. So
Burford and Banks are much bigger and stronger than a Brunskill, though, right? I mean, they're physical. These guys.
Well, they're bigger bodied guys, for sure. I mean, they're pretty. They got some quality depth up front for sure. They got some quality depth up front. The two guys to look for. I'll give you one on offense, one on defense. On offense, the receiver Tay Martin out of Oklahoma State.
Right.
He wears 83. They just picked up Willie Snead. He doesn't run a great 40 time, but his quickness is just off the charts, and he can separate in the red zone on quickness. He can separate in the short area on quickness. He's got great hands. He plucks the ball with his hands. He was great at Wazoo. Then he transferred because of the pandemic to Oak State. He was awesome at Oak State. Great in the Big 12 title game against Baylor, 3 touchdowns and 110 yards. And he was like incredible in the Fiesta against Notre Dame. They beat Notre Dame because of Tay Martin. They call him Big Play Tay, and he wears 83. So check him out Friday night on offense. He's the guy.
Okay. I mean, this team looks as good as I've seen him in years as far as the depth. I mean, I'm thinking they still got Jason Verrett that is a possibility. Is he going to start
deep on the corner? No, probably not.
I mean, is he going to start on IR, you think?
I don't know if he'll start on IR, but he's not healthy right now. I don't think. I think he probably won't go in this game. But the other guy is Marcelino McCrary-Ball. That's the other guy you got to look at. He wears 40. He's a linebacker. They're super stacked at backer, but man, that kid, Marcelino McCrary-Ball, tremendous player, really is. Jim Olay says, dude, Sean Proctor, you're going to have to listen to the replay. And then Jimmy goes, Larry told some great stories. Yeah, Sean Proctor says, okay, I'll start from the beginning tomorrow. Yeah, it was definitely a story time show tonight.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's an awesome show. And you know what, guys? I don't want to cut out abruptly. And you guys can keep going if you want, but I think I should probably hop off. I didn't realize it was getting so. I'm just trying to make sure I just get some good sleep.
You need to get some rest. Get some lousy rest.
Well, yeah, we'll call it a night right here. Let's do this. Let's play our commercials, and then we'll bolt for the door on the Krueg Show.
Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, TELMETRIX.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coccimilgio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Dan Coccimilgio and all the people at Secure Money for being proud sponsors. And thanks to Tony Cassera and the good people at Cassera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Cassera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh, no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never going to deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, coming down the home stretch on the Krueg Show. Hey, Spider 8 says, Larry, please do your show tomorrow in the Yellow Warrior jersey. MF will give you $1,000 in the super chat. I gave that jersey to my daughter because that's it. I mean, seriously, it didn't even fit my sons. I'm like, maybe I'll give this to her. So yeah, my daughter has that. And I'll never put that jersey on again. It was hard to breathe, to be completely honest. It was a little on the tight side, if you could tell.
So it wasn't fresh in and fresh out, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't fresh. Fresh in. Sausage comes in fresh and it goes out fresh. There's no
Never
freezing.
frozen.
Never frozen. Never frozen. At one point in the commercial, I'd like him to say, it ain't that completes ass stuff that Danny has. This is fresh. This is not completes, comes in not fresh, goes out not fresh.
Hey,
It doesn't have to be refrigerated. It's in a box.
Can you guess what this is as I play the? Does it sound like I'm playing the drums?
Rye's going all kinds of different colors there. What was going on there?
What is that?
Is that your belly?
Kind of. Yeah,
Is
look.
that Buster's head?
Oh, it's a watermelon.
Oh,
It's a big melon you got there. That's a big melon.
look at that. See,
Oh, wow.
when you
Dan
get
just
your
melon. That is a big ass melon, Dan.
Jesus.
Okay, so
Jesus.
you got your
What are you,
yellow
in a
spot right
contest?
here. Your yellow spot, and you got a little bit of the scars right here. See?
Dan, can you get a scale on the screen and drop it on the scale? I need to see.
Let me go grab. I wonder how much it is. I'm curious. Let me go get the scale.
I bet you that thing cost you like $18.
No, $6 at Costco. Let me get the scale.
Are you sure?
When we can
I'm not
see
sure if
the
Costco gets the best melons.
$6.99. be
Romo
right back with the
2001
scale.
approaching 6,000. Larry, moving on up. There we go.
There we go.
Peter Zimmer says that's a giant melon.
It's a really large melon.
Have you seen? There's this show. I think it was the Impractical Jokers, and they have like one of their buddies carrying 2 melons, and he's walking on like a college campus, and he's walking behind. He purposely is walking behind 2 girls, and you see them. You hear this guy go, "Nice melons." And this girl gives him a look like, and then they turn around and they see that the guy's holding 2 melons, and then they feel stupid about it. It's a classic. It's like he keeps doing it. Hey, those are phenomenal, huge. Those are huge melons, like that. And all these girls are like, "Are you talking to me?" And they turn around, they see a guy holding 2 melons.
Oh, you talking about that thing on Facebook where you see that stuff or whatever?
Well, no, this one was on Impractical Jokers, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It might have
So
been.
how
It
much-
might have been on Facebook. Yeah.
How much you guys
Those
think
are
this melon weighs?
phenomenal, huge melons. And
I'd
then
love
all of a
to
sudden, there's a
grease
guy
those-
standing there holding 2 melons.
How
I'd
much
love
you
to
guys
grease
think
those melons up and chase them around in a pool.
How much do you think this melon weighs?
I would say that's an 11-pounder.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're gonna put it on here right now.
All right. I'm gonna guess 9.7.
Hold on.
That is the Bochi head of melons.
There's a lot of water in the melon.
Dan, I think
You
you're
see
gonna
that?
do it like you're gonna have to weigh yourself, and then
Yeah, I have to weigh myself and then pick up put the melon on. All right.
melon.
Let me try that here. Let me put the melon down. All right.
Looks like a tasty melon, according to Shante Ortega.
Hopefully, I'm gonna have it this weekend.
Mark Graves says those guys are from Arizona. No, I think they're from New York, aren't they? Thought they were.
something
Okay.
about those melons.
Hey,
Let me-
Spider 8, great big melons in Blackhawk too. Great.
All right, here we go with the melon.
Mark Hope says 7.5 pounds.
I'm telling you, this is over. This is close to 10.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean, it was
more.
huge.
I'm thinking it's 15.
I said 11.
All right, here we go. Shoot, it's 18.
Yeah, that thing,
18.
18-pound. That's a monster.
That is a monster. I hope I don't drop it, man.
That's a monster slam.
It's a monster melon.
You should monster slam that thing somewhere.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Will you carve that thing out and leave the do you like melon with where you slice it and you leave a little bit of the what's it called?
The rind.
The rind on the outside, or do you like it like cut all the way through and like into chunks and put it in like a big Tupperware and eat the chunks?
I like the chunks, like where you just eat little pieces at a time. Yeah.
The chunks, especially if I'm like trying to eat the entire thing.
Yeah. You know what?
A good
I-
sweet watermelon that's perfect is like, I mean, it's just maybe the best fruit there is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
we talked about this before. I like watermelon, but you can keep your cantaloupe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want a green cantaloupe. I don't want an orange cantaloupe. I don't like cantaloupe.
That thing is 18 pounds. I couldn't believe it. Here's a true
They're
story.
all seedless these days too.
Yeah. I'm like 7 years old, right? And my
You look
aunt,
a little older than that.
yeah, I was like 7 at the time.
Is it like Larry? Come on.
Oh, okay.
And my 2 brothers are in the car. My oldest brother's in the he's probably like 13 at the time. My other brother's like 12. My aunt is driving us back home from Martinez to Concord, and we're going down Highway 4 over there it's kind of got hills and everything back up there. And I'm trying to remember what, they got a little hospital over there now, Kaiser Hospital off Highway 4. And anyway, we're past that. We're going down, and all of a sudden, in my brother's windows down in the front, and we're going like 55 miles an hour. It's a freeway, and a watermelon comes flying right in, a piece of watermelon, and just goes and smacks just misses my aunt's head and goes up again, smashes her window. It was like a perfect shot, whoever threw it.
And it busted the window?
I don't remember. It just was
Probably
weird.
not.
It was just, I don't think it busted, but it sure freaked everybody out, though. But golly.
All right, good stuff, fellas. Good stuff. Tomorrow on the show, I'll be back on 95.7 The Game tomorrow at noon, noon to 3 with Guru. We'll be chopping it up tomorrow, talking, I'm sure, about this one. Guru thought the Giants would win tonight. I was like, no chance. So sure enough, he's right.
He's pretty excited on the fact that they can get back in this. Maybe
he's crazy. He's crazy. Anybody thinks he can get back in it is crazy at this point. In my mind, I mean, it's going to take more than one win or a couple wins before I'm going to believe. But you know what? If he wants to be optimistic, be optimistic. And then we're back tomorrow. We've got game 2, Giants-Padres tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, tomorrow night. And then Wednesday might have to be, depending on what Rye's doing, might just have to be.
Is that a day game?
Yeah, but you probably just ending. Yeah, you're 3:00.
So maybe if you want to go solo, Danny, or maybe we'll see what we do.
I could do it with Dan.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe Wednesday you guys can hook up, and then
You can
what's
call in
Thursday?
while
Are they
you're
off on
driving.
Thursday?
What's that?
They off on Thursday?
They're off on Thursday. Yeah.
So we'll probably take Thursday off, and then Friday morning I'm going to do a live stream with Grant Cohn, and then Friday we'll do a Niner post game. You guys ready for Niner post game after the first preseason game?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do a little Niner post game,
I gotta
and
make sure I get that game because I'll be down here, obviously in Arizona. I don't know if I can get that. If I get the NFL Sunday ticket, will they cover the preseason games?
Do not know.
I don't know. You might have to hit a sports bar for that bad boy.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, I'll send you a sketchy link that'll give you malware.
DJ Venus says, thanks, Larry, for the great stories. Danny, always a pleasure. Good to see you back, Rye. Peter Zimmer says, Rye, welcome back.
Thanks, everyone.
Shante Ortega says the Krueg night shows have great content. Hey Spida 8 says great SF history and Larry family stories tonight. There were a lot of stories tonight, man. I do tell an awful lot of stories.
I gotta say,
what did we get muted for? I can't even remember. I said something just nutty, and Ryan said something kind of. What did I say?
Ryan said something like hooshy mooshy or something. Or you said something like that.
Poutsy woutsy.
Yeah, poutsy woutsy.
Oh man,
that was bad. That was bad.
Mechanically though,
that was bad. And then Val Ramos, I love spending my time with you guys. Always make my night. Hey, that makes our night. Absolutely. Great to have Rye back. A lot of people were worried about you, Rye. A lot of people thought you were down for the count. That one night you just looked like hell warmed over.
Well, I mean, I've got some pretty good lighting going. I still have a tinge of like palish green going.
It takes a good week usually afterwards. I mean,
seriously, everything I've been eating, it like tastes like vomit. Like it's this horrible. And actually, Sean P recommended I get this nasal rinse, which I actually used right before the show or right before I had dinner. I was able to hold it down. It tasted good, but everything's been tasting like it's like my I don't know. It's like I'm like having like almost like hallucinatory taste. Like
taste. My taste was totally gone when I had that thing.
It messes with you, but you have one of these and you'll be fine. Really, just
there you go. Peter Zimmer says the Larry Krueger show post game shows are at night are the best. Mark Hope says Niner post game. Yeah. Benji says great show as always, guys. Peter Zimmer says what does Peter Zimmer say? He just was there. He says the Epcot festivals are huge draws.
Oh, we're talking Disney.
Mark Graves says Ryan can eat a complete now. Mark hopes his chicken ass. All right, guys, good stuff. Why don't we just bolt for the door right here? We'll see you guys tomorrow on The Krueg Show.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah.